Welcome to Fanfiction Audiobooks. Marvel, collecting Shinra Tensei at the beginning. Chapter 121. Don't wait for your forward swing to end. Wait a minute, what do you want so much for? List Adia asked. Spare. Han Yu said calmly. Lista Dai covered her face. How cautious this brave man is, he has to prepare so much equipment, and he can open a wholesaler along the way. Thinking of this, Listadade pushed him and said as she walked, "It doesn't take that much, hurry up and deal with chaos, you can only buy good equipment in that small town after you deal with her." Han Yu nodded silently, and asked, "How long do we have left, and how far is it from that small town?" "There are more than 5 minutes left, about 1 kilometer, what's the matter?" Listadai said truthfully, and when she said it, she saw a thoughtful look on Han Yu's face, and she suddenly felt bad again. "Well, the speed of a professional athlete for 1 kilometer is about 2 minutes and 20 seconds. With my physique, 1 minute is enough." As soon as the words fell, Han Yu grabbed Rista Dai's wrist, lowered his body's center of gravity impressively, and made a movement of starting. Before Listi Da had time to be shy, the facial features on her face were deformed by the strong wind resistance generated by Han Yu's running, as if she had peeled off her skin. Many of the roads along this road were mountain roads, and even such muddy roads did not slow down the galloping Han Yu. Under the strong wind resistance, Lista Dai struggled to open her eyes and looked, and found that Han Yu's solace just rubbed against the quagmire, and a blast of wind erupted under his feet. With the help of this anti-shock force, his flying body has been upgraded to a higher level. Han Yu didn't stop until he reached the gate of the small town. He looked back and said with satisfaction, "It took 42 seconds for 1 kilometer. It's not bad here." Are you still human? It takes 42 seconds for 1 kilometer, nearly 24 meters per second. No one can run like a normal person." Obviously it was Han Yu who was running, but it was Listad who was panting. A skilled duck sat on the ground, her clothes were messed up as if the two of them had done something indescribable just now. Han Yu's eyes were not on her at all. At this moment, his eyes were completely focused on the small town in front of him. The sky above this small town is in stark contrast to the outside of the small town. The sky outside the town is clear and the birds are singing and the flowers are fragrant, while the sky inside the town has turned blood red. It looks like the scene where the villain is coming. Han Yu stepped forward and pushed open the gate of the town, and a sense of oppression rushed over his face. In the middle of the small town, Chaos could already be seen standing there with a big sword in his hand, surrounded by ordinary people kneeling on the ground. "Yo, isn't this the brave man and the goddess? They are finally here." Chaos licked his scarlet lips, although he called the two of them master, but the master here is not a respectful title, but a mocking word. Han Yu's forward pace was not shaken by Chaos' words. He pressed the scabbard with one hand, and grabbed the handle of the scabbard with the other hand to pull it out. If a careful person observes, he can see that Han Yu leaves shallow footprints every step he takes. Their towns are all solid stone brick floors. Being able to leave footprints is enough to prove how strong Han Yu is. Seeing that the other party didn't return, Chaos's heart was inexplicably shrouded in a thin layer of fear. She had only felt this kind of fear in one person, and that was her superior, the strongest in the world, the Demon King. Looking at Han Yu in front of him, he was dressed in black, and his fluffy white feathers moved slightly with the wind. Although he didn't say a word, the oppressive force came first, which made Chaos feel a little uncomfortable. "It's just a brave man who just came to this world. What are you pretending to do? When I capture you alive, I will tie you up and watch the heads of these townspeople fall one by one." Chaos took the lead in attacking, his figure surged up, the broad sword in his hand was covered with a layer of scarlet blood, and he slashed hard at Han Yu's forehead. "That's it." Han Yu raised his head, his eyes filled with endless indifference, his body also flashed, Chaos' great sword slashed through the air, and in the next second, a terrifying force came from Chaos' back. This force made her cough violently, flew out in groups, and wiped a deep trace on the ground. How is it possible? This guy was only at the first level a few minutes ago. How could he display such a level of power? Although the devil said that the time in the God realm would be slower than this, but it was only a few hours. How could it be possible to improve to this level? To what extent? Chaos coughed up a mouthful of blood, and looked at Han Yu in disbelief. She didn't have ability to see through, so now she thought Han Yu was at the first level, and it was inconceivable that he could explode with such speed and strength. This has completely surpassed myself at level 66. I can't suppress my strength anymore, let's explode. A scarlet cold light flashed in Ko's eyes, and the big sword in his hand turned around and stabbed at his abdomen. What is she doing? Is she self-harming? Seeing this scene, Lista Dai was surprised. Could it be that this villain is also out of his mind? Hey, watch it, this is my ultimate move, Demon God Curse Killing Sword. Wait, hey, what are you going to do? Just as Chaos was about to laugh wildly, he saw Han Yu's figure approaching him, and he raised the long knife in his hand towards him. Isn't it going to be amplified? Do I have to wait for your skill to finish? The forward swing of the skill refers to the action of the character before attacking or casting a spell. In this kind of Japanese manga, there are often all kinds of fancy forward swings. Like Chaos, stabbing himself with a sword does not directly change the body move is a kind of fancy forward swing. It's a pity that Han Yu won't give her a chance to end the swing. Vacuum Ice Blade. A low shout came from Han Yu's mouth, and two ice blades condensed around the long knife in his hand, forming a vacuum layer between the ice blades, which strengthened the hardness of the ice blades, and cut towards Chaos. The fractures of the two shaved limbs were directly sealed by ice, and quickly covered the whole body from the original fractures, freezing Chaos and his sword in it, turning it into an ice sculpture. Han Yu, you are so powerful. What kind of move is this? Don't you only have fire magic? Listad said in a daze, she is just a newly appointed goddess. And she doesn't know when a brave man should have what ability, but she can also see that at Han Yu's level with this kind of combat power, it is absolutely necessary, not normal. Han Yu glanced at her indifferently, but ignored her, and a bad thought suddenly appeared in Listadai's heart. Seeing Han Yu raising his hand, the white feathers on his body automatically moved without wind. With him as the center, many icicles suddenly erupted from the surrounding ground, surrounding him. 9 Layers Ice Tower. Chapter 122. With a low cry from Han Yu, the surrounding icicles exploded and flew into the sky, forming a 9-story tower and falling towards the Chaos ice sculpture. Poor Chaos, still maintaining the posture of piercing his body with the big sword, was crushed into scarlet ice chips by the ice tower. Han Yu shook his free hand suddenly, and the raging flames burned in his hand again, and quickly gathered into a beautiful flame lotus in his hand, and waved it towards the ice tower from afar. Profound Truth Buddha Fury Lotus. The flame lotus flew lightly, and exploded when it touched the ice tower. Countless ice chips were directly burned into steam by the flames, and the Chaos ice chips among them also turned into nothingness, not even ashes. Left. Han Yu still didn't think it would work, so he folded his palms together, and when the palms were separated, several flame lotus flowers formed in his hands, and flew towards Chaos, who had already turned into nothingness. Directly hit a lonely. Looking at this scene, Lista Dai felt numb in her heart. She no longer had any hope of normal adventures with this heinously cautious brave man in front of her. Mystery, is this something normal people can do? On the other hand, Han Yu, after bombarding for so long, finally stopped his movements, and the voice of the grocery store sounded in his mind. Complete the branch task, encounter a strong enemy for the first time, reward 100 upgrade points. Han Yu stopped and turned his head. Behind him were a group of stunned townspeople and Lysada. He walked up to Lysada, waved his hand in front of her, and said, "Why are you in a daze? Let's go." "Hey, where are you going?" Lista Dai just recovered and asked. "Buy some new equipment, you can't just go to the next stop with this kind of thing." Han Yu shook the knife in his hand, and with just such a shake, a tiny hole was split on the blade. After the tiny hole appeared, it quickly spread all over the blade and shattered all over the ground. A layer of ice crystals remained in the blade fragments. Obviously, it could not withstand Han Yu's level of attack. This kind of knife bought in a small village might be fine for fighting slime goblins. But against a character of KO's level, it simply can't withstand this level of energy coverage several times, otherwise how could it divide so many weapon levels? The things in this small town are really better than the things in the previous village. Han Yu was buying and buying in the weapon store. Behind him, Lista Dai felt that her wallet was gradually being emptied. Just as the two of them were carrying out their large and small bags, a smiling voice sounded in front of them. "Is this the brave and the goddess? They actually defeated Chaos Machina. It's amazing." Han Yu put all the things in Listadia's hands, and the latter almost fell down. The latter put down the things and was about to express his dissatisfaction. But his eyes stopped on the person who just spoke. So handsome. The man who was talking to Han Yu was over 1.8 meters tall, wearing a well-fitting lavender suit, and a gold monocle on his tall nose, making him look very refined. Who are you? Han Yu pulled out his newly bought long knife, and said coldly to the man. Relax, relax. The man in the suit hastily raised his empty hands to show no malice, and said, My name is Kane Gillens, I am a doctor, I passed by here a few days ago on a trip, and I live here for a few days, you are a combination of a brave man and a goddess, I want to go with you. Before Han Yu had time to speak, Lista Dai rushed to say, How is that possible? We are going to fight against the devil. There will be dangers along the way, but we will die. Hearing that he was going to deal with the devil, the man named Kane smiled, and a calm smile appeared on his upright facial features, and he said politely, I also have some hatred with the devil, and I have been alone for a long time. It would be better to die alone on the way to defeat the devil, I think that would be more meaningful. His neither humble nor overbearing words moved Listadia very much. From Kane's words, she had imagined the plot of the Demon King killing his family with 10,000 words. Such a down-and-out man turned into such a gentle man. Han Yu, it just so happens that we also lack teammates, why not just let him? No. But he is a doctor. There is someone who can treat you better. Don't want. Only if there are more people, the subsequent battle will be easier. No. Lista Dai tried to persuade Han Yu, but the latter only said one word in the end. In desperation, Lista Dai had no choice but to decline to Kane. Kane's eyes were on Han Yu from the beginning to the end, with a smile in his eyes, he waved his hand and said, It's okay, since Lord Brave doesn't trust me, let's meet again by fate. After all, Kane turned around and left. Lista Dai pouted and looked at Kane who was leaving, then turned to look at Han Yu with a bit of resentment, Why do you drive others away? You are so handsome and follow us, what's the matter? Isn't there a saying in your country called there is great strength in numbers? You still know this sentence? Han Yu smiled, took out the storage ring that he had just bought from the weapon store and spent hundreds of gold coins, put all the things he bought earlier into the ring, and said, Okay, stop talking to me, let's go to the next stop. Don't order the goddess, hey! After the two left, under the shadow of a certain big tree, a slender figure appeared there, looking at Han Yu and the two who had left, laughing eloquently. It's worthy of being able to obliterate the existence of chaos. For the brave who just appeared, this is already an existence beyond common sense. What will happen in the future, I'm looking forward to it. The guy watching Han Yu's departure was Kane, who failed to join the brave team. His side was hidden behind the shadow of a big tree, but when he walked over, there was no one there. After leaving the town, the brave and the goddess, on the way to the next stop, Samlo Town, Han Yu has been killing monsters along the way, and he has been using big moves against some 3rd and 5th level mobs along the way. Lista Dai has become numb. Even if he encounters a monster of the same level as Han Yu, who is more than 20 levels away. Based on the board strength alone, the latter will come to a group of Han Yu who can't beat a group of ordinary attacks, but he likes to use big moves. No matter whether the opponent is strong or weak, Han Yu will end the opponent's life with a big move. This is not as simple as being cautious, it's pathological. Lista Dai said in despair, looking at the traces left by Han Yu's elimination of monsters. For a moment she couldn't tell who the monster was. It was night, and Han Yu and the two were looking for a sheltered half-cave to rest. Lista Dai, who was in charge of complaining for a whole day, fell asleep faster than Han Yu, but she was sleeping on all fours, as if it was implying something to Han Yu. Han Yu didn't even look at her, and said to himself, I'm going out to collect some firewood. After finishing speaking, she stood up and walked out. The sleeping Listadia opened her eyes and said angrily, Damn it, it's a shame to turn a blind eye to this goddess. Han Yu, who had already left the cave halfway, came to a place where Listerade couldn't hear the sound, raised his neck and moved, as if talking to himself. Since you've been following me, let's come out and talk. Don't you think it's embarrassing to hide at night? Chapter 123 Debunking. The surrounding night scene was still silent, and the only thing that could be heard was the rustling sound of the leaves being blown by the breeze. Except for Han Yu's voice, there was no other sound. Aren't you going to come out? Han Yu drew out the long knife hanging by his waist, and the black robe on his body moved automatically without wind. He said, I have already noticed that someone is following us along the way. This person's tracking technology is very advanced. It took me a long time to find the location, right here. As soon as the words fell, he slashed at a certain boulder with a cold knife, and the debris was all over the sky. Behind the debris, there was indeed a figure. As expected of Mr. Brave, your perception is amazing. The voice of these words was very familiar. A man came out from behind the gravel. It was actually a gentleman he met in the town during the day and called himself Cain. Are you the devil? Han Yu raised his long knife and pointed at Cain obliquely, and said calmly. Cain showed a little innocent look on his face, spread his hands and said, What, didn't I tell you my identity during the day? I'm just a doctor. Hee hee. Han Yu smiled, and the long knife in his hand was filled with ice and fire, turning the blade sometimes white and sometimes red, and said at the same time, if you are an ordinary doctor, you can control your breathing at will? In order to follow us, your breathing is at its lowest and very slow, which is not something that any doctor can do. Cain stared straight at Han Yu, and the latter also stared at him. Without giving him a chance to speak, Han Yu had already charged forward with a knife. Even Cain, who already had a general idea of Han Yu's speed, was still shocked by his speed at this time. He is hiding his clumsiness? The current speed is far from what he could compare with during the day, at least 10 times more. Thinking of this in his heart, Cain raised his hands, and bursts of black air gushed out from his arms, forming 2 black armor. A light sound blocked Han Yu's knife, and he said with a smile, You still say you're not the Devil King? Han Yu bounced back and looked at the other party with his ability survey. During the day, Lizda Dai couldn't see anything strange, because this world has a skill of disguise, which can disguise his real value, and what the other party sees it may be only 1% of the original, or even less. When Han Yu came to this world, he had hidden attribute value and visible attribute value in his field of vision. After choosing the latter, he had turned on the camouflage skill by default, so the data that Lizda Dai saw was not real. It is impossible for the opponent who has already made a move to use the disguise skill to hide his data again, so Cain's data panel appeared in Han Yu's vision. Name, Cain Gillens, Devil Lord. LV, 98. HP, 98788. MP, 55842. Attack power, 96,875, Defense power, 87,541, Speed, 68,574, Magic power, 80,000, Growth value, 99,997. Special skills, Dark Magic, Leave Max, Experience value increase speed, Leave 5, Ability survey, Leave 20. With these tens of thousands of ability points, on this continent, you can see everyone in seconds. They are actually more cautious than me, and they don't even let go of the brave men who just appeared. Han Yu chuckled. Now that his identity has been exposed, the Demon King stopped pretending, and said with a smile, On this continent, only the brave can defeat me. I already know who can defeat me, so I let him grow up. It's not very unreasonable. Originally, I thought that Chaos's level was enough to deal with you, but I didn't expect you to hide her hand and be able to deal with her easily, which made me more interested in you. You are really interesting, why don't you join me? We will fight side by side, and I will give you the power over 10,000 people, directly belonging to me. How about it? Even though he knew that he was facing him, Han Yu's smiling face did not change at all, which made the devil even more afraid of him. He could easily deal with Chaos, and he could not change his face when facing him, so there must be something more hidden. Strong strength. The Demon King didn't dare to be careless. He had let one of the 4 heavenly kings guard him in Xinchao village to intercept and kill the brave from the very beginning. He couldn't have been careless, otherwise he would have died before he reached this position. Don't even think about it, hurry up and die, I will complete the task sooner. Han Yu said flatly. This guy can be so calm. Either he has a ghost or he is confident. Let me see his attributes. A hexagram-shaped pattern appeared in the eyes of the Demon King, and he used his ability survey. When he saw Han Yu's data, it was the panel that Listerade usually saw. Fake, he can kill KOs in seconds, he can't just use this little attribute value. The Demon King's eyes were even brighter. The level 20 ability survey directly broke through Han Yu's camouflage skills. The moment he saw his real data, his eyeballs are about to pop out. Is this data that humans can have? Name, Han Yu. LV, 25. HP, 99999. MP, 58797. Attack power, 97,572, Defense power, 91,846, Speed, 85,875, Magic Power, 87,457, Growth Value, 1,852. Special Skills, Flame Magic, Leave Max, Ice Magic, Leave Max, Experience Value Increase Speed, Leave 6, Ability Survey, Leave 20. It's only level 25, and all the statistics are already surpassing him. Is this possible? This is impossible. The Devil King has lived on the mainland for hundreds of years, and he has never seen anyone who can achieve this kind of data. Even when he was at level 25, his stats were only 1/10 of his, but at that time he could already be called a monster genius, and it was simply impossible to improve at that level. This is simply a monster, a monster. The devil murmured. He couldn't imagine what kind of height Han Yu would reach after he was on the same level as himself. Not far away, Han Yu's indifferent voice came slowly. Have you finished reading it? Come and die after reading it. Han Yu walked slowly, the hand holding the knife was ablaze with flames, and the free hand was covered with cold air, and Han Yu's black clothes made him look more like a demon king who came from hell to seek his life. For a moment, the demon king even had the feeling that the clown is actually me. He thought that he might have escaped by not showing up at the beginning, but now it's better to hit the other party with a gun. Impossible, this is a more advanced disguise, it is impossible for you to have this level of ability value at this time, you are lying to me, yes, you must be lying to me. Chapter 124. The gentleness on the surface of the Demon King disappeared at this moment, and the attack in Han Yu's hands had been brewing for a long time, and the two profound meanings of ice and fire were in his hands. Far beyond the Demon King's ability value, the attack effect is also sure to be strong. The devil gathered all the energy in his body and formed a huge shield in front of him. He could see the power of this attack. If he ran, he would have no defense at all. Even the devil, facing Han Yu, he is just looking for hope of survival. The attack of the two profound meanings of ice and fire is not fake. Even though Han Yu is only at level 25 now, but the data is there, even a Demon King at level 98 would not dare to underestimate his attack. This blow directly shattered the shield that the Demon King had gathered with energy from half of his body. He put down the shield, thinking that Han Yu, who would release the two profound meanings as soon as he came up, would slow down his attack speed. The Demon King originally planned to take advantage of the short interval to escape and come back after a short rest, but he saw that Han Yu not only did not stop, but did not even say a word, and wiped the blade with his palm, and the blade turned red instantly. Magic sword, this is high-level magic. Has this guy even mastered this level of magic so well? He even omitted the spell chanting. The Demon King's expression was extremely bad, and now he only wanted to find some chance to escape, but the person standing in front of him was Han Yu, and the system task Han Yu received was to complete this task carefully. This determines that even if he spends all his blue bars, it is impossible to leave a half-dead Demon King, and the Demon King really fell this time. He never imagined that he was already cautious enough to personally deal with the brave man who had just appeared, and he could still be killed by the latter, which is unreasonable. Before dealing with a few goblins, Han Yu could use several big moves in a row, but now the person in front of him is a Demon King, and Han Yu actually used dozens of secrets until he blasted the ground into a bottomless giant hole. He didn't stop until he was in a pit. Fat, what happened? Have you met the Goblin King this time? Listadade said in a daze. 1 minute she was still sleeping, and the next minute she was awakened by a huge explosion, and she ran towards this side with her messy chicken coop. Seeing that Han Yu was constantly putting out secrets in front of a hole, she wanted to come up to stop him earlier, but Han Yu was as tireless as he was, making big moves one after another, and it would not be an exaggeration to say that it was a world war. The underground Demon King, like chaos before, had no ashes left, and they never imagined how Han Yu's strength could be so strong until their death. If it was another brave man, he might be wiped out by the Demon King after defeating chaos, but this time he met Han Yu, and Han Yu is the kind of player who enters the game with a cheat. You don't even have a high level, but my stats are higher than yours, and I can beat you with an even A, so let's talk about it. Complete the branch task, destroy the Demon King, and get 300 upgrade points. Han Yu murmured, what is this guy doing out so early? He just wants to make a lot of money by sending me a few more small bosses. Alas, this is just enough to level up. How can I fix it? What did you say? Listadai didn't hear clearly. It's nothing, come on, let's go back, the Devil King has been eliminated by me, Han Yu calmly retracted the long knife and said. Destroyed, you mean, the person in this pit was the devil. Lista Dai couldn't turn the corner. Why did the devil die when she woke up? Han Yu glanced at the deep pit, and said, the man named Cain I met in the town before is the devil. He probably wanted to hide his strength and sneak into play with us. I didn't expect to see it through. You can't beat me, it's really weak. Lista Dai stared at Han Yu dumbfounded. In her eyes, the latter was no longer a simple brave man. She looked at Han Yu and murmured, actually, you are the devil, right? This is an S-level world. The Demon King cannot be eliminated so easily. Who are you? You are definitely not an ordinary earthling. Hearing someone asking who he was again, Han Yu hesitated for a while, took out a teleportation scroll from the grocery store system, and smiled at her, I'm just a passing grocery store manager, if you need it, welcome to visit me. After all, with the force of his palm, he squeezed the scroll in his hand and sucked him into the scroll, returning to his Marvel world. As for Gaia Brand, in front of List Adia, there was only a business card floating in front of her. She stretched out her hand, and the business card fell into her hand. It was as monotonous as ever, with only 2 lines of words. There is a grocery store. Han Yu. Han Yu returned to the grocery store without a moment's pause, and immediately ran upstairs and returned to his room. In order to ensure that no one disturbed him, he even locked the door. Boss, are you back? Do you want something to eat? Ao Chuang's voice came from the second floor. They were used to Han Yu's sudden disappearance and sudden return. I went to another world. No, I have something to do, just don't bother me. Han Yu shouted to the door, and after the 2 of Ao Chuang also responded, he called softly, System, clear the task, save Gaia Brand. The task is being settled, the settlement is successful, and the reward upgrade point is 317 points. You have a special item, the Death Gear, which can be exchanged for 50 upgrade points. Do you want to change it? Don't change it, send it to the warehouse. Han Yu felt a little dizzy from the huge amount of points in his heart, but he still suppressed the ecstasy in his heart and said. The price of Shiba installed in the grocery store is not low. An ordinary style needs to be upgraded for 40 to 50 points, and this captain style is also around 100 points. Cut it in half, it was too dark. Han Yu murmured, if the Devil King doesn't come out, it will be a long time ago. This is the first time I saw the big boss that appeared in the first level. Otherwise, this mission will at least break through 1000 upgrade points. Adding the upgrade points of each branch task, Han Yu now has 900 upgrade points, which made Han Yu grinned and felt a little helpless. What a great opportunity to earn some upgrade points, but it's a pity that the Devil King couldn't hold back his mentality and came so much earlier, and Han Yu didn't dare to let him follow him all the time. Because according to the task, if he let him go, it would not be prudent to complete the task. After all, he is a devil, not a first-level slime that can be seen everywhere. If he is careless, he may still fall there. So based on this task, Han Yu had to take the first step to eliminate the Demon King, otherwise the gain would outweigh the loss. Chapter 125. Is it so predestined to have a bald head? Han Yu shook his head helplessly, but it is still beneficial, at least now he can upgrade. System, open my personal panel. Name, Han Yu. Grocery store level, senior clerk. Basic abilities, immortal seal, magical conch. Limited item, emotional potion, storm cry *1. Permanent props, green light ring, emperor riding transformation device, super quality earphones, Wanjitong mobile phone, dead bully outfit. Arsenal, ice wheel pill, Haoshan hammer, 1 ring. Existing upgrade points, 900. Points required for promotion, 500. System, give me a promotion. Han Yu shouted impatiently. After this level, he will be the store manager. He has been waiting for this day for a long time. The points required for promotion have been consumed, and the current position, Junior Store Manager. Get promotion rewards, item extraction card 2, blank night card 5. Seeing the 5 extra blank night cards in his personal backpack, as a senior night controller, Han Yu had already made plans. It seems that I have to go to Brother Daiki for fun, take one of his cards, and use Emperor Chi to transform. I don't know what it's like to be these characters. Han Yu smiled, and put away these treasured cards. He opened the inventory of the grocery store, and there were many props that needed to be upgraded before, but now they can be taken for free. Yahoo! Comfortable. It was only at this time that Hanyu really felt that he had obtained the grocery store system. Before, everything he bought had to be exchanged with upgrade points, but now it is basically free. System, why are there still things in these columns that I haven't been able to use at will? Hanyu scrolled down the list, and found that several columns were grey and white. When he clicked on it, the things inside really moved his heart. What kind of things are they? Magic soldiers from all walks of life, super armor, or infinite gems? These things made Hanyu's scalp tingle. Just talking about the infinite gems. Thanos has played so many copies, and it is Xandar and the Earth, isn't it just to get these gems? There are them in Hanyu's store, as long as he wants, he can get out a truckload of them and throw them away for fun without feeling bad at all. If the host wants to use the items in this column at will, he needs to be promoted to a mid-level store manager, or even higher. The grocery store system replied. Well, as soon as Hanyu clapped his hands, he knew that the grocery store system would not allow him to climb to the top so easily. Now after looking at the items, he realized that 500 upgrade points can be upgraded to the store manager, which is actually quite a small amount. For now, what he can pick up in the grocery store, and sell a few extraordinary things, can make him a billionaire overnight. But for the current Hanyu, money and everything are imaginary. He no longer asks for money, but only wants to improve his strength more. It's not that he really became so cautious after the G-Brown mission, but that if he dies in the Marvel world, he is really dead. Hanyu didn't feel that he was invincible in the universe when he reached the Heavenly Father level. In this vast universe, there are still many hidden great gods, and their lives are based on the basic unit of 10,000. The current self is not enough to be seen in front of them. Fortunately, Hanyu traveled to the Marvel universe of the movie. If it is a comic, his strength is not enough to die. Phew, let's take a step and take a look. Let's eat something first. Hanyu closed the personal attributes panel in front of him, walked downstairs while feeling his belly. When he reached the first floor, the door of the grocery store suddenly opened, which startled him, and then suddenly appeared in his vision a bald man. What's the matter, do I hit it off so much with the bald head? Another one. Seeing the person with a bald head, Hanyu's first thought was this. He tried to divert his attention away from the shiny head, and looked down. He was taken aback by this person's appearance. Dead fish eyes that are dull and lifeless, wearing a strangely yellow uniform, with red hands and feet, and a white cape behind him, and with that bald head, he is full of joy, and he can see the beauty of that face. Suddenly, a name blurted out from his mouth. Saitama. Hanyu is no stranger to this man who suddenly appeared in his shop. His name is Kyu. In the world he belongs to, he possesses the transcendent power that can instantly kill anything with one blow. It's a pity that he killed the villain himself, either the public didn't see it, or the public mistook it for other heroes, or they didn't believe it was because he defeated it himself. So even if he is such a strong person, after becoming a hero for a long time, he clearly has the strength to be on the S-level hero list, but he only wanders up and down among the B-level heroes, making people dumbfounded. Kyu on the ground was like a dead body and hadn't moved for a long time. Hanyu was about to step forward to see if he was dead when he suddenly grabbed Hanyu's ankle and said something hoarsely. What did you say? Hanyu couldn't hear clearly, bent down to listen, and then he heard what he said clearly. Very hungry. It turned out that this was a hungry cook. Hanyu smiled helplessly, picked him up, took him to the restaurant, and threw him on the seat. Wait. You are just in time for my meal, or if you come over suddenly, where will I get the meal for you? Hanyu rolled up his sleeves and started cooking. Considering that Kyu might eat a lot, Hanyu simply cooked a meal for 4 people. Anyway, he is an old cook, so it is not a problem for one person to eat 2 portions. Saitama, who smelled the aroma of rice, finally focused his blurred eyes. When he saw suddenly appearing in a strange room, his first reaction was not to panic, but to look around calmly, a little confused. Where am I? In the kitchen, Hanyu happened to come out with the dishes. Seeing Kyu who had come to his senses, he directly smiled and said, Are you awake? Just right, let's eat. As he said that, he put the food on the dining table, and before Saitama could speak, he started to make it. The chopsticks were pulling the food, which made Saitama's mouth water. No matter how strong the willpower is, the rice cooker cannot resist the delicious aroma after all. After Kyu said thank you, he also picked up the bowl and chopsticks, and ate with big mouthfuls. The moment the food entered his mouth, his eyes widened. What kind of fairy taste is this? The Japanese taste basically pursues without any processing, and eats raw food as much as possible to ensure the taste of the ingredients themselves. There are also processed ones, but the taste is not so rich. And Hanyu's dishes are full of color, fragrance, and taste. They look delicious and smell delicious, and they taste like chopsticks after chopsticks. Kyu had already eaten so much that he didn't even have the time to talk, and he was all focused on cooking. Chapter 126 The Studious Genos. After eating and drinking, Kyu leaned on the back of the chair contentedly. He had never eaten such a delicious meal. At the end of the meal, he almost filled the plate together. Thank you very much for your hospitality. I didn't have time to introduce myself just now. My name is Kitama. Saitama said. My name is Hanyu. Hanyu smiled and shook hands with him. Because of the grocery store, everyone who comes here, Hanyu can understand each other's speech without doing anything, and now the two speak Japanese. It is easy to confuse the two names in Chinese, but in Japanese, it is a completely different pronunciation. Saitama's Japanese name is pronounced as Saitama, while Hanyu's Japanese name is pronounced as Kanfu. By the way, why did you collapse in my shop? Is there no food at home? Hanyu asked curiously. Saitama usually pays the most attention to the supermarket sale day. He often goes to buy some cheap food and comes back hungry like this, at least for a day. Oh, don't mention it, there is a lunatic. Saitama waved his hands, a look of helplessness appeared on his dull face, and wanted to skip this topic, when a voice suddenly sounded behind him, making him stiff. Mr. Kitama, you are here. I have been looking for you for a long time. Let's continue training. Today's goal has not been achieved yet. Both Hanyu and Yu looked towards the door of the restaurant. At this time, a boy who looked to be no more than 20 years old was standing there. The boy's arms and thighs are all made of pitch black metal. There is no white in his eyes, they are all black, and his pupils are yellow holes. He is a reformed person, and his appearance can be said to be very distinctive. His name is Genos, and he is Saitama's apprentice. Janosh. Our practice should be over, I just finished eating. Kyu seemed a little afraid of him, so he picked up a stool and moved closer to Hanyu. This kind of fear doesn't mean that he can't beat him, but because Saitama mistakenly said that he was free for the past few days, Genos turned on the candy mode, pestering himself every day to teach him how to become stronger. Although Saitama has great strength, he will still be hungry, but Genos will not. In the past few days, he has been pestering Saitama and asking him for tips on becoming stronger. No matter how strong the willpower is, a cook will not be able to withstand it after all. This apprentice of himself can't drive away, beat him, Kyu can only run away, but fortunately he can't run away. Every time Kyu decides to buy something to eat, Genos will appear like a ghost, said while dragging him. Teacher, you happen to be free these few days. I have to learn from you. Did you test my speed just now? You are indeed a teacher. I really care about you. I will definitely not let you down. I live up to your size. I didn't mean that at all, okay. Kyu frowned bitterly, almost crying. His apprentice's studious level was already considered perverted. The main reason was that Genos asked so often that he didn't even have time to eat. Hanyu saw Kyu's embarrassing situation. In his previous life, he was quite interested in the latter. He is a hero born of interest. He has the power to destroy the world, but he is always thinking about what he can sell on the next supermarket sale day. This brought him a huge contrast. Since it was Hanyu's favorite character in his previous life, it's okay to help him, he coughed lightly and said. Janosh, right, your master and I just finished eating, you know that you can't exercise after eating, how about this, I will let my little brother fight with you, if he wins you let your Saitama teacher rest for a while, if you lose, then you can deal with your teacher casually, how about it? Dispose of it casually. Kyu suddenly felt that Hanyu was also a devil. Although it sounded like he was doing it for his own good, he always felt like he was being sold. Genos pondered for a moment, he looked at Saitama, who was indeed a little tired, and said, okay, then I will trouble you, teacher Saitama, are you okay? Seeing Genos looking over, Saitama shuddered, sometimes being too eager to learn is also a kind of pressure. Hanyu smiled, and led them to the utility room. At first, the two of them were a little surprised when they saw this small door that was less than a person's height. Where are they going? Are they going to this kind of place? But when you go in and take a look, the space inside is unimaginably large. You guys can fight here later, you can fight here as long as you don't harm the outside world. Han Yu laughed. We went out? Were we not on the second floor just now? Seeing the scene in front of him, Genos was stunned, because what appeared in front of him was a steel forest, with towering buildings everywhere, and the surrounding streets looked very normal. The strange thing is that in such a place that seems to be the center of the city, there is not even a pedestrian, and no horns are heard. It is terribly quiet. Seeing the puzzled looks of the two, Han Yu explained with a smile, this is the space I opened up for me and my brothers to test our abilities. The things here are designed by them. It is also the first time that Han Yu has discovered the changes in the different space here, because he basically rarely comes in, and usually only Kuei Yin often enters here. In order to better test their own strength, Ao Chuang used earth science and technology supplemented by green light energy to construct many scenes in this space to meet their combat methods in different situations and places. And now the scene is a virtual city center. After that, he walked to the door of the room and shouted upstairs, Ultron, come down, get back to work. After a while, there was a sound of procrastinating footsteps at the top of the stairs. Ultron rubbed his eyes sleepily while still wearing pajamas, and asked Han Yu blankly, what are you doing? Come here first. Han Yu retracted his head into the utility room, waiting for Ultron to come in. Although Ultron didn't know what he was doing, he still yawned and walked towards the utility room. When he reached the door of the utility room adaptively changed to his height, allowing him to walk in. Looking at the tall man in pajamas who suddenly appeared, Genos frowned and asked Han Yu, is this your little brother? Now Ultron is still yawning, looking at the two unfamiliar faces of Saitama and Genos with his messy hair. He knows what he is going to do when he comes to the utility room. This place is usually it is used to fight, and now calling myself here must be to fight with someone on the other side. Genos, please. Han Yu spread his hands and said with a smile. Chapter 127. Kyu hesitated a little, leaned close to Han Yu, and said in a low voice, is that okay? Genos is also an S-level master after all, will you be all right, little brother? Han Yu kept a faint smile on his face, and said, it's okay, let's fight. Genos looked at Saitama, who nodded to him, and he stepped forward and said, my name is Genos, the 17th in S-class. Ao Chuang yawned, with one hand still in his pocket bent over, and he said listlessly, Ao Chuang, I just want to sleep, hurry up. Bowl-sized injection holes suddenly appeared on both sides of Janosch's shoulders. The moment the flames spewed out, his speed also increased suddenly, turning into a phantom and attacking Ultron. A small jet hole also appeared behind the elbow, and the jet of flames made Genos' fist speed much faster, and it hit Ultron's ribs fiercely. Ao Chuang took a step to the right unhurriedly. This punch, which can only be seen as an afterimage in the eyes of ordinary people, he dodged lightly. In the next second, Ultron's palm was like a dexterous swimming snake, and instantly jumped onto the arm of Genos, and patted him on the shoulder casually. When this seemingly light palm hit Genos, he felt as if he had been hit by a high-speed train. With a muffled grunt, he flew upside down several tens of meters. This guy is a bit interesting. His reaction, speed, and strength can definitely be ranked among S-class heroes, and his status is definitely not low. We can't hold back anymore. A light flashed in Janosch's eyes. They are all smart people. One back and forth is enough to analyze each other's strength and weakness. Seeing Ultron's easygoing appearance, but making such a terrifying outburst, he knew that the opponent's strength must be great. Weaker than yourself. Be serious. Flames spewed out from the jet holes behind Genos' shoulders again. This time, his speed was far from comparable to before. The previous speed could only be seen as an afterimage, but now, ordinary people's naked eyes can't catch his speed at all. Good speed. Han Yu nodded. This kind of combat power is extremely powerful even in the Avengers. Genos' fighting style made use of the jet holes on his body to a large extent. Han Yu felt that Stark was very necessary. Play tricks with him. Otherwise, a super smart battle armor would be Baihu to others all day long, and become a melee waste as soon as it gets close. That would be too miserable. Han Yu even thinks that Stark can be defeated at a long distance. Once he gets close, the opponent can analyze your style of play. The hard armor that can resist even missiles is not a lie. On the field, Ultron's expression is still sleepy. Is Genos strong? Strong. The heroes who can be ranked in the S rank in their world are not in vain. Except, of course, for a certain little brother who relies on the sound of his heartbeat to scare people. Ao Chuang, be serious. Han Yu was a little dissatisfied with his wanton attitude of contemptuous opponents. Although he didn't think Ao Chuang would lose, it was an attitude. Hey, solve it early, go to bed early, I have an appointment with someone to rob the bank tonight. Now that Han Yu has spoken out, it is impossible for Ultron to go on like this. He took a long breath, and finally a serious look appeared in his eyes. The next moment, his body trembled. From the eyes of ordinary people, he might not be able to notice anything, but Kyu, who was watching the battle, couldn't help saying, what a speed. The two fists collided, the fist came first, but the sound came out a step later. Genos only felt that what he hit was not a person, but a huge mountain that was tightly connected to the ground. The strong wind of the fist punched back through Genos, hitting the empty space wall and making a loud sound that made people tremble in the heart. This is just pure physical strength. Genos turned his head and looked back in a daze. The buildings lined up behind him were turned into nothingness by the fist at this moment, allowing him to see the head and the size of the space at a glance. If it weren't for the limited range of this space, his damage would be farther away. Genos murmured in his heart. He suddenly had a sense of déjà vu, as if he had experienced this situation before, when he fought with Saitama, the latter punched a mountain bank into a canyon. After that battle, he knew that the distance between himself and Saitama was not even a star and a half, which deeply impressed him and made him want to study with Saitama even more. This man's strength definitely doesn't stop there. I can see that he hasn't exerted half of his strength at all, maybe not even a tenth. Genos's indifferent face showed a rare look of surprise, muttered in his mouth. Shaking the mountain with fists, no matter how much you hit, it is just a drop in the bucket for Shan. If it's fire suppression, Ultron may not win so quickly, but in terms of close combat, with Ultron's physique, it's okay to stand there and beat Genos all day. I lost, you are very strong, unimaginably strong. Genos looked directly at Ultron in front of him, and said frankly that if he loses, and it is not a life and death battle. This kind of mutual learning and winning does not make him feel a strong sense of failure, but he feels a little excited in his heart. Can I still come to you to discuss with you in the future? Naturally, it is impossible for Kyu to fight with him every day, and it seems impossible to him to catch up with his teacher all at once. Now meeting such a strong opponent, and not an enemy, will of course excite him. Trouble, don't. The earnestness in Ultron's eyes quickly receded, replaced by the previous lazy look, and the originally straight waist also bent down, looking nothing like the man who just swung that punch. Looking at Ultron's lazy look, Han Yu rubbed his chin. He was not surprised by this result, it was expected. Ao Chuang's strength level is very strong. In terms of strength alone, I may not be as good as him. I don't know what will happen to him if he fights with the bald head. Thinking in this way, Han Yu turned his head and saw Kyu staring at him. After the two looked at each other, they both smiled. His setting is originally a one-punch, no matter what enemy he is dealing with, he can't beat his one-punch kill. Without specific data, it is impossible to judge at all. If we want to compare across works, it is impossible to measure the combat power of both sides. Han Yu thought so in his heart. He greeted Genos and said, since you have conceded defeat, let Saitama rest for a day. Genos had no objection, it was agreed at the beginning. Are you free? I just met, how about going to my house to play games? Saitama said. Otherwise, he really didn't know how to thank Han Yu, and he gave him a delicious meal, and helped him solve his apprentice who had been pestering him so that he had time to rest. He really shouldn't have made it so clear to Genos before, and told him how long he could rest, so that Genos really asked him how to become stronger during this period of time. Chapter 128 Dragon Level Disaster. Alright, it's fine to play for a few days. The world of One Punch is full of heroes and weirdos. Han Yu also had the idea of going to that world for a long time to play, but he couldn't find the opportunity. Now Kyu just invited him to play, just to see those who are always killed by Saitama the weirdo isn't really that weak. Walking to the door of the grocery store, Han Yu had a thought before pushing the door open, and the scene outside the door changed instantly. When he pushed it open again, it was no longer New York outside, and Asian faces could be seen everywhere. Address. Is this the world of Kitama? It doesn't look different. Han Yu looked around curiously, building after building, tree after tree, everything seemed very normal. This is no man's land, there are many strange people, and they may be disturbed from time to time. Saitama said this in a very ordinary tone, as if those were not weird people who came to cause sabotage, but relatives and neighbors who came to visit. Several people walked upstairs talking and laughing. At the door, Han Yu saw a face that was both unfamiliar and familiar. I say unfamiliar because it is the first time Han Yu has met him face to face, and I say familiar. Han Yu has watched him all over in fan dramas in his previous life, referring to daily life, not in any strange direction. This man looks fierce, with a thin and long face, and there are 3 scars extending from his forehead to the corner of his mouth on his left eye, which adds a lot of fierceness to his appearance. When he squints his eyes, it looks like a jack is pressing his head. Makes it hard to breathe. This is the 7th ranked S-level hero on the hero list, King. This man is very interesting. The weirdo that Saitama has solved many times, King happened to be there. This also made King, who was originally an ordinary person, become an S-class hero for no reason. How powerful he is depends on how much the enemy thinks. People even made up a King's engine nonsense, saying that it was the sound that King would make when he was about to enter a battle state. In fact, it was just his astonishingly loud heartbeat. Kyu, why did you come back? I've been waiting for you for a long time. There are too many strange people around you. I just walked past several of them. I didn't even dare to breathe. Kyu, who is this? King said a lot at once, and halfway through he noticed the smiling Han Yu behind him, making him shut up quickly. He still doesn't know that Han Yu already knew the name of his so-called S-level hero. The head is empty. Oh, by the way, let me introduce. This is Han Yu, a friend I just met. He is trustworthy. He is good at fighting and cooks delicious food. Kyu introduced the 2 of them. This is the King. My friend, we often play games together, his game skills are super powerful. Han Yu smiled and shook hands with King. Judging from the strength of the handshake, the latter really didn't know how to fight at all. Facing such an enemy, he felt that it was a miracle that King could survive till now. Let's play games together. Han Yu said with a smile. His smile made King put down his guard, because he is actually an ordinary person. The only thing that is not ordinary is the astonishing heartbeat, but all the values of his body belong to ordinary people, and his hobbies are no different from ordinary nerds. Action games and love games are his favorite. A few people were planning to enter the house to play a game and have a hot pot or something in the evening, but Han Yu didn't even cross the threshold when he heard a huge explosion not far away. Is there a weird person? Han Yu looked towards the place where the explosion sound came from. It should be. After all, this is no man's land, and there are a lot of weirdos. Saitama said, but someone will punish you in a while, let's go in and play games. Han Yu shook his head and said, I want to go and have a look. Hearing this, Kyu thought for a while, then nodded, and said, that's fine, it's okay to go and have a look. In the Heroes Association, in the control room where the alarm was ringing, countless men in black were walking around, some were holding some reports on the phone, and some were constantly typing on the keyboard in front of the console. What's the situation of the strange person that suddenly appeared in City Z, and what's the level of disaster? A senior member of the association asked. A staff member sitting in front of the console said, at least it's at the level of a dragon. At least. That's a pretty scary word, and if it's on a hero, something like can handle at least, level weirdos is definitely reassuring. But now they heard that the monster's disaster level was at least dragon level, and the damage that dragon level monsters could cause was enough to destroy several towns. Now that the other party was at least this level, how terrifying would that be? Damn it, it's actually a dragon level. There hasn't been a monster of this level for a while. The senior management of the association gritted their teeth. Every dragon level monster is an existence that should not be underestimated. With minor injuries, he continued to ask, have any heroes passed by? Yes, many S-level heroes have already received the message and rushed to the destination soon. Very well, the task of evacuating the people also needs to be expedited and manpower increased. Yes. In the distance, under the blow of this strange man, countless buildings are being dilapidated at a speed visible to the naked eye, becoming shattered. This is a supergiant with a height of more than 10 meters. When he stepped down, countless buildings were destroyed. Ha ha ha, humans, tremble, surrender to the Bat King, let you taste what it feels like to be bitten by a bat." While laughing, this weird man who claimed to be the Bat King raised his right hand, and his fingers turned into countless red-eyed bats, flying around, making the fleeing people screaming and screaming. Shouted louder. As for the missing fingers, other parts of his body squirmed, and his fingers recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. If someone looked carefully, they would find that the body of the Bat King was actually composed of millions of bats, and those countless pairs of scarlet eyes made one's scalp tingle. People screamed and ran away. Several people tripped over while running, and the bats behind them swarmed up. A dozen or 20 bats instantly sucked several big men who were nearly 1.8 meters tall into mummified corpses. Watching that scene made one's scalp tingle, and the movements of his feet became faster and faster. Flash fist! A loud shout came from not far away, followed by a dazzling light, which scattered the vampire bats in an instant, and then, a long-haired man flew over from a distance, and walked to the side of the mummy, looked down, and shook his head slightly. "It's still too late. Flash, there is still something we need to worry about, don't be careless." After the long-haired man arrived, a man wearing red tights, yellow panties and carrying a huge sword jade also came to the scene. The appearance of the two of them relieved the fleeing people and shouted in surprise. "It's Flash and Smiling Superman, and an S-class hero came right away, we're saved." Chapter 129 The Hero in Crisis. The appearance of an S-level hero and an A-level hero relieved the tension of the people a lot, and even some good things stopped the crowd, wanting to see how their heroes cleaned up the Bat King. "Just 2 heroes, 1 A-level and 1 S-level, I'm really underestimated." The bats on Bat King's body dispersed, and when the height dropped to 3 or 4 meters, he revealed his middle appearance. This is a short man, only about 1.3 meters tall, but he looks heavy. Such a man can be caught and flew by several bats. It seems that the bat is not an ordinary bat. Surrounding him with countless bats, the visual shock is still very strong, as if a demon king has descended, covering the sky and blocking out the sun. Half of the sky is covered with his bats, which is enough to see its horror. "How many more heroes do you need to beat you? We have enough." Smiling Superman didn't say much, and rushed to Bat King with a huge sword jade, except. As soon as the hammer hit, it was about to hit the Bat King's face, when the bat next to him suddenly surged up, swallowing Kendama's head in an instant. Smiling Superman pulled it hard. These bats were tightly grasped, they were obviously living things, but at this moment he felt like his Kendama was welded to the opponent's bats. No matter how hard he pulled it, he couldn't pull it. His exertion, on the contrary, attracted other bats to fly towards him. He gritted his teeth and had no choice but to let go of his hand and jump back. The battle has just begun, and the hero is the one who suffers the most. Bat King laughed loudly and said, "You rely on this weapon to attack, it seems that you have to buy a new one." As soon as the words fell, more bats rushed to Kendama, but after a few breaths, the bats dispersed again. Kendama had disappeared, and these bats were eaten up. The teeth of these beasts are not so good, they can even eat them. Smiling Superman gritted his teeth and said, he never expected that the opponent's bat could do this kind of thing. From this point of view, if you want to fight in close combat, you need to be very fast to avoid being entangled by the opponent's bat. The bright light on Flash's feet flashed, but in the blink of an eye, his figure had already come to Bat King. Flash feet! Quickly, only the after images could be seen, kicked out with random feet, and bombarded the Bat King heavily. But the Bat King was not afraid at all. Facing the menacing flashing Flash, he waved his hand casually, and several bats flew out from the bat swarm. They stood up and spread their wings layer by layer, turning into a black round shield. Flash's attack hit the bat-shaped round shield like a stone sinking into the sea, without any effect. Go! The Bat King let out a low cry, and dozens of bats flew towards flashing Flash. The latter raised his posture to resist, but saw that the flying speed of the bat suddenly accelerated and passed him directly. Several bats were entangled with each other, forming a bowl-shaped black cover inside and out, trapping Flash in it. These guys actually blocked my escape route. Flashing Flash felt a little gloomy in his heart. For him, the opponent did not take a strong attack, but used bats to seal his retreat, leaving him with nowhere to go. The black bowl formed by the black bats is clearly in the daytime, but there is no light at all. At a glance, there are only dense red dots, which are the eyes of these bats. Flash fist! Flash focused his energy on his fist and blasted out with one punch. A gap was punched out of the dense crowd of bats, bringing a ray of light to the darkness. A few times is death. But within a few seconds after the gap was formed, another bat filled it up, and the light that had just appeared would be shrouded in darkness again. The swarm of bats stimulated by the attack did not scatter, but instead got closer to Flash Flash standing in the middle. Damn beast, don't think that I will be afraid of you. Bright rays of light converged on his fist again, and Flash Flash planned to break through the swarm of bats in one go, and then rushed out. At this time, the bat group suddenly squirmed, and the screams of humans came into Flash Flash's ears, and there were 4 humans, male and female, old and young, who replaced half of the bats and became this part of the Black Bowl. Mr. Flash, save me, save me. A junior high school girl wearing a school uniform among the 4 said with tears on her face. The other 3 also shouted. Dissipating the newly gathered energy on Flash Flash's fist, this bastard actually used ordinary people to threaten me. Flash Flash clenched his teeth, the opponent's hand was used to limit himself. Does he have the ability to break through? Yes, as an S-class hero, his ability is beyond doubt. And the Bat King also knows this. He didn't foolishly let the bats fly to eat him in groups, but surrounded him, and also used humans as part of the bat position, so as to limit Flash Flash's inability to use a wide range of lethal moves. Because he didn't know how many other people there were besides these 4 people, if he acted rashly, the damage would be terrible. Outside. Looking at the ever-shrinking Bat Black Bowl, the Bat King GGG smiled and said, "Humph, I know you heroes all have very powerful attack power, but I don't attack directly. Come to threaten you? Ha ha ha, you are a hero. I would like to see if you, the so-called hero, sacrificed yourself for the lives of the people at this time, or sacrificed these people for yourself." The behavior of the Black Bat King made the people present feel chilled. The Black Bowl of Bats, which was only 1 person wide, has become densely packed and thickened a lot. From this Black Bowl, you can vaguely see all kinds of clothing materials in the Black Bowl. This is human clothes. Flash Flash's judgment is not wrong. There are indeed many walls piled up by ordinary people outside the Black Bowl. Once Flash Flash strikes, no matter where he hits, as long as he penetrates from the inside, there will be at least 5 life begins. Damn it, why haven't the other S-class heroes come yet? Wait, is that King and Genos? Smiling Superman's eyes suddenly fixed on a certain place. There, 4 figures were slowly walking towards this side, different from those people hiding in the dark. They walked over talking and laughing. Those walking on both sides, the man is no stranger. It is the S-class heroes of the hero list, King and Genos. It's the king with the Emperor's engine. We are saved. And Genos, that's great, that Batman will definitely not be able to escape now. Come on, beat Batman. The eyes of the people directly focused on King and Genos, ignoring the 2 strongest ones. Chapter 130. Do you want to be Bing Bing, too? Is this a dragon-level weirdo? It doesn't look that powerful. Han Yu put his hands in his pockets, looked at the Bat King covering the sky, and smiled lightly. This should be some mutated bats. The blood-sucking speed has been greatly improved, and the bat wings have also been strengthened, so it is difficult for ordinary swords to damage them. Janosch analyzed in a flat tone. Ah! Saitama had no expression on his face. Janosch, can you solve it? King said weakly, in the eyes of the outside world, he is the strongest of the 4, but only they know whether it is true or not, and King is the weakest. Come on, let me try how powerful the weirdos in this world are. Han Yu smiled and walked forward. The moment he finished speaking, his clothes suddenly changed, from the original simple modern style to a black upper body kimono with trousers underneath, a white feather draped over his body. The 5 fingers of his left hand slowly gathered together, and a few wisps of white mist visible to the naked eye sprang out of the void, condensed in his palm, lengthened, and gradually turned into a snow-white simple long knife. After the snow-white long knife appeared completely, the hot summer temperature dropped rapidly, making people sneeze fiercely. Who is that? Why didn't King or Genos take the shot? Which S-class hero is it again? I've never seen it before. How did he do the disguise just now? The clothes and the knife all appeared out of thin air. The appearance of Han Yu caused the crowd to boil suddenly, and everyone was discussing his origin and identity, but this also made Bat King notice him. Humph, here comes another death, even the Flash is trapped by me, what can you do to me? The Bat King smiled, and drove a group of bats to fly towards Han Yu, trying to use trapped Han Yu by trapping Flash. Facing the overwhelming bats, Han Yu held the handle of the saber, and when he touched the saber with his thumb, the blade left the sheath, drew the saber, swung the saber, and retracted the saber. The movement was very smooth. In the eyes of ordinary people, he just pushed the knife away with his thumb, but for some reason he retracted the knife again. What is he doing? He can't be a guy who is strong outside but doesn't dare to draw his sword. I think so. I just looked at the list of heroes. He is not among the heroes who use knives. He must have learned magic from somewhere. I'm just waiting for this day to pretend to have fun. Then he is miserable, this bat monster will not give him such a chance. People's naked eyes couldn't catch Han Yu's movements at all, they didn't even see Han Yu drawing his sword to attack, but Genos and Kyo were a little interested. What a fast sword! Saitama exclaimed. Indeed, I only captured his figure with the function of the ultra-high-speed camera. There was a light in Genos' eyes. He was the big brother of Ultron who easily defeated him, and his strength would naturally be higher than him. Otherwise, how could it be possible for such a guy to be inferior? I don't understand what you are talking about at all. King shrugged, he is a real mortal, what he sees is no different from what other people see, but hearing what Saitama said, it seems that the person in front is real something. The Bat King looked at Han Yu with a smile. He couldn't see Han Yu's movements. In his eyes, the latter was no different from a dead person, but he suddenly felt that a part of the bats had lost contact with him, and that happened to surround Han Yu. The number of you. Look at that. At this moment, someone finally noticed something was wrong. The bats were turning into ice sculptures at a speed visible to the naked eye, and their flying bodies hit the ground, turning into pieces of ice. What's going on? The Bat King's face changed, he didn't notice what was going on at all, he looked at Han Yu, the latter's figure surged and became blurred in his vision, and he couldn't catch it at all. Damn it, don't underestimate me. Bat King thought, countless bats opened their mouths and roared, and the supersound waves that only bats could hear spread around. The surrounding scenery appeared in his mind in a strange way, and every move of others could be clearly seen in his perception. Damn, why can't I find this guy? The Bat King secretly thought that his bat ultrasonic positioning has never been wrong, but now he can't capture Han Yu's position, which finally makes him feel bad. At this moment, a light laughter suddenly came from behind him. Do you want to become a broken ice too? Bat King turned his head suddenly, and there was no one behind him, which made him break out in a cold sweat. He wanted to surround himself with bats and become like the giant before, but he felt that part of the bats had lost their spiritual connection. The Bat King looked up, and there appeared some ice chips with black centers on the ground, which were still his. Bat. Since this is the case, then I can only use these people to operate, and see if you can get out. The Bat King gritted his teeth. If this continues, he will be exhausted by the other party without even seeing him a few times. Why not use the lives of the people to control the other party like controlling Flash? Just do what you think. Countless bats fly towards the human beings closest to them. At this moment, a very light laughter resounded from the sky and the earth. Frozen for 10 miles. With the sound of this voice, snowflakes fell from the sky, and the cold air locked on the bat flying in the air as if intelligently, freezing the surrounding bats in midair in a large area, and fell to the ground into a piece of debris. Even the bats that trapped Flashing Flash were completely frozen, and Flashing Flash inside saw it, and for some reason, he tentatively touched those bats that had become a large piece of ice. With this touch, the outer ice layer was unexpectedly brittle, and the ice layer quickly shattered, allowing them to see the sun again. Flash picked up a piece of ice, and the eyes of the bat inside still revealed a ferocious red light, but it dissipated quickly, and disappeared all at once, and the eyes became foggy and lifeless. Okay, let's go back. Han Yu took back the Hiran Wan, and under the watchful eyes of everyone, his clothes changed back to his normal clothes, and he returned to Q and the others. Yes, your sword skills are pretty good. Saitama said in surprise, he could see that the other party didn't take it seriously at all, just swung it around with a toy and it was done, maybe the other party also had a punch to solve its strength. He has seen a few masters with knives, but their movements are too slow in Saitama's eyes, so slow that they can be caught without looking carefully. Chapter 131. It's so. Han Yu smiled calmly and politely. The level difference was too great, and it didn't make him serious at all. The so-called dragon level is only compared to those heroes. If the heroes start at Han Yu's level, Aren't the weirdos just cosplay players wearing strange coats? There's nothing to be afraid of. Impossible, this is impossible, how could my bat die like this? The Bat King growled in disbelief, this is a highly poisonous bat that he has cultivated for a long time. There are tens of thousands of bats, each of which has a poison that can paralyze the opponent and spread quickly. Even the wings have been modified, can block hot weapons such as rifles. He was able to make a big fuss because of this, but he didn't expect it to end in less than half an hour. Han Yu ignored him, and continued talking and laughing with Qiu. There were so many enemies who refused to admit defeat, and Han Yu didn't want to care about it. When the black bowl that trapped Flashing Flash was broken, the people trapped by the bats all ran aside one after another, fearing that the bats on the ground would rise again. As for Flash, after seeing that Bat King's bats had indeed lost their vitality, he half-kneeled on the ground while standing. Puff! A mouthful of blood was spit out from Flash's mouth, and the spit-out blood was still tinged with purple. It looked like he was poisoned. There were still many slender scars on his body, which must have been when he was trapped in the black bowl just now. Scratched by a bat. Flashing Flash, who was holding on, dared not let the poison disperse until the bats dispersed. His face was already purple with the poison, and his temples and forehead were covered with clearly visible purple veins. Smiling Superman checked Flash's wound, but the ambulance did not arrive, and the toxin changed the latter's face, which means that the toxin spreads very fast, and if it is not treated in time, it may endanger life. You damn guy, where is the antidote? Hand over the antidote. Smiling Superman stepped forward and grabbed Bat King's collar. Without the protection of the bat swarm, he was just a short dwarf who had lost the ability to threaten. Ha 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 ha, give up, this is my improved bat toxin B, just 1 milliliter can make an adult feel paralyzed within a minute, and his limbs cannot move. He will die within 5 minutes at most. There is no cure, and it would be nice to take an S-class hero to my back before I die. Bat King laughed arrogantly, as if the matter was a foregone conclusion. Smiling Superman clenched his fists, and raised his hand to punch him in the face, but he saw a lot of people gathered around him. There are too many people, we can't do anything here, this damn guy, if there is no one here, I will definitely beat you up. In order to protect the reputation of the heroes, they will not take action against enemies who have obviously lost their mobility and combat capabilities, which will damage the name of the heroes. Don't worry, I can still hold on, let's save those injured people first. This sentence made Flashing Flash spit out another mouthful of blood. There are more and more purple in the red blood, which also represents his Batoxin B in the body has spread even more. Genos also stepped forward to check his Flashing Flash. With a computer brain, he quickly calculated the data that the latter was spread by the toxin. The toxin in his body is about 20% of the blood. Once it reaches 25%, it will cause obvious harm to the body. This guy is right. To put it simply, he is dead and hopeless. Bat King laughed even more rampantly. Superman couldn't help it anymore. He looked up at Genos, who stood aside, creating a blind spot. Superman took advantage of this short time to directly A-punch hit Bat King in the face. After being punched, Bat King was not honest, but laughed because of the opponent's anger. I just like to see the angry expressions of you heroes, it's so wonderful, I want you to see your partners dying in front of your eyes, the feeling of being helpless, isn't it good? Bat King's psychology has become a little perverted, his words made Superman smiling clenched his fists, and if there were not too many people around him, he would even want to kill the dwarf directly. Oh, Bat Toxin B, sounds powerful, so that's it. Han Yu laughed. The Bat King suddenly turned his head, looking at the boy who easily solved his bat, his eyes were full of resentment, and at the same time, he was angry because he heard what he said, humph, it's all about showing off. I don't believe you can solve it. Are you still wearing this outfit? Han Yu had a smile on his face, but he slapped Bat King directly on the face. He is not a hero in this world, so he doesn't need to maintain a heroic image. Naturally, the attack was swift and resolute, and Bat King was stunned for a while. His behavior made the people around him exclaim, shouldn't heroes take action against monsters who have lost their combat effectiveness? But after thinking about it carefully, they didn't seem to find out which hero Han Yu was on the list. Han Yu doesn't care about what people in this world think of him at all. He was so blind that Kitama is still a C-level hero. A lot of credit has to be attributed to these blind people. No matter what Saitama did, they all thought someone else did it, and seeing Saitama like this doesn't look like he can deal with a dragon-level weirdo. It's just a small poison, what's the point of worrying about it? In Hanyu's palm, a ray of pink flame rose up, and with a flick of his fingers, this ray of flame sank into Flash's body. Immediately afterwards, wisps of purple mist gradually rose from Flash's body, his deep purple face turned red at a speed visible to the naked eye, and the numbness of his limbs gradually returned to consciousness. Seeing that his toxin was easily dissolved by the other party, Bat King watched this scene in disbelief, but he didn't dare to speak out. The man in front of him was different from other heroes. He had extremely powerful strength, and he didn't care about other people's opinions at all. Otherwise, he wouldn't have slapped him in front of so many people. Brother, thank you. I, Flash, will keep this kindness in my heart. Flash took a long breath, got up and came to Hanyu, and said. Hanyu smiled, didn't care, and said, it's nothing more than a little effort. The reason why he rescued Flash was because he saw that the latter obviously had the excellent ability to deal with Bat King, but he did not attack because of the humans in the Black Bowl, and wanted to use other methods to break through. This is worth Hanyu's efforts to save his life. While he was talking, Hanyu's smiling gaze suddenly turned sharp. He looked towards a certain place on the street, where a woman was standing. Seeing Hanyu's gaze turn to her, she walked towards Hanyu. It was a very exciting battle. It's the first time I've seen someone who can integrate ice superpowers and swordsmanship so smoothly. It seems that they also have the ability of fire. Chapter 132 Snowstorm. The luxurious woman in front of her is young, in her 20s, with a tall and graceful figure, wearing a dark green dress and a white fluffy coat. On her beautiful face, there is always a faint the feeling of being above everyone else. This is the number 1 hero in B level, known as Hell's Fubuki. He is very good looking, and will take the initiative to recruit those B-level heroes she likes, and invite them to join the Fubuki group he created, similar to the Avengers the Presence. But her invitation was more like a threat. For those heroes who disobeyed and didn't want to join, Fubuki let the 2 generals around him beat them to the point of losing their ability to perform heroic actions. Seeing Fubuki approaching, Flash didn't say anything, but took a few steps back. He is an S-level hero, but he is only ranked 13th, and Fubuki's sister, Tornado, is the second-ranked S-level hero. Although Fuxu is only number 1 in B level, she has long been qualified to advance to A level, and her level will not be too low. For her sister's sake, most heroes will give her face. Hey, Fuxu, you are pulling someone in again. Let me tell you, this person is not something you can pull in. Kyu stood in front of Hanyu and blocked him and said, because Fuxu once recruited herself to join the gang, she finally refused, and now she actually turned her mind on Hanyu. Fubuki smiled slightly, and instead of arguing with Kyu, he said to the big man beside him, Yamaru, organize your people and rescue the injured people and send them to the hospital first. Yes. The tall man known as the Mountain Ape responded, and immediately dialed the phone, gathering people from the Fuxu team to clean up the situation. Where are you going? Shall I go with you? Fubuki put her hands behind her back, and her movement made her already bumpy figure even more irresistible. She thought that her movements would be irresistible. But seeing Hanyu in front of her, his eyes were still clear. It is rare to see this kind of eyes among the men who are facing her. Most of them stared at her with a hidden and obscene eyes. Hanyu was unmoved, but she became interested instead. There are only 2 men who can still ignore her initiative to show her favor, one is the bald man next to her, Chi-Yu, and the other is Hanyu who she met for the first time, which makes her very interested. Let's just stroll around casually, you'd better not follow. Hanyu smiled and said that the figure and appearance of Fuxu in front of him are easy to get angry, but Hanyu is not a little boy who has never seen anything before. He smiled slightly to show respect, and did not show anything else. Boy, do you know who this is? This is Fubuki who ranks number 1 in Class B. Don't be ignorant. Seeing that Hanyu was unmoved by his boss, a long-haired man standing next to Fuxu said that he is the second-ranked hero on the B-level hero list, and he is called Eyelashes. The weapon is the eyelash curler. Oh? Number 1 in Class B, is it amazing? Hanyu raised his head slightly, and spread his hands to the side. Fuxu, who had been focusing on Hanyu, realized that there were actually 2 S-level heroes standing behind him. Yanosh and King. The strength of the 2 S-rank heroes is of course needless to say, and although Saitama is only in the B-rank hero list, Fubuki also knows that he has the strength to be among the S-rank heroes, and he can even reach the top. Now there are two S-level heroes and a hidden S-level potential hero standing beside Han Yu, invisibly giving him an extremely powerful aura, as if there are three fierce dragons entrenched behind him, locked on it. Enemies are always ready to devour each other. Seeing the dull look on Fubuxiu's face, Han Yu shrugged and said to Qiu, "Let's go, we agreed to have dinner at your house tonight." "Okay, let's go, with Genos here, he just pays the bill," Saitama said unceremoniously. Janosch didn't have any displeasure on his face. In his eyes, everything the teacher did was right, including paying for his meals, which was a normal thing. Looking at the group of Han Yu who left talking and laughing, Chugxiu stomped her feet angrily, and said in her heart, "Okay, Qiu, you have the ability, but I won't give up, you must join me the Fubuki group, and this boy. You can't escape." It's just that she doesn't know that Han Yu is not from this world at all. No matter how capable she is, she can't find Han Yu across the border. Night. "Even I'm here, how embarrassing it is, this is obviously a dinner for the three of you." King was a little embarrassed. It was the first time he met Han Yu, and he didn't have much friendship with him. The latter was acquainted by both of Qiu, so it would be redundant for him to be there. "It doesn't matter, there are so many people," Han Yu said. He was a guest, and he said that he didn't mind, so King stayed at ease. Saitama's dumbass didn't respond to this matter. He didn't know much about these communication matters. King still knew some good and bad things. If Han Yu didn't mind, then he could stay. Then I'll help too." King stood up and walked quickly to the kitchen. Before they could reply, he picked up a paring knife and peeled a potato. At this time, if you say something like "just sit and wait" or "we can do it ourselves," they will be divided into Saitama, Genos, Han Yu, and King alone. Good. King offered to help, and the others did not object. They are all friends. Helping each other during the preparation stage is also a great pleasure, and it can also bring them closer. A few people began to prepare dinner easily and happily, and the pre-preparation process was also one of the great pleasures. Marvel World. On the outskirts of Green, there is a seemingly old manor, which was left by the Charles family for generations. Originally Charles planned to buy a new one, but he found that it was too big and a new manor. He could not afford it, but he was too lazy to deal with those glib guys. All of them were old foxes. The real purpose of this academy can't tell them yet. To the outside world, Charles is just an ordinary genius. It is very puzzling to suddenly buy an old castle. If someone sneaks in and sees something that shouldn't be seen and spreads it, it will be harmful to the Mutant Academy. Therefore, Charles plans to use the manor left by his family as a college. Its location and size meet Charles's needs very well. Anyway, he is the only one who inherits the family property, so there is no need to worry about others making irresponsible remarks. "Charles, why don't we contact Han Yu? Even if the mutant child's ability can be solved by the two of us, it will be difficult. We don't even fully grasp our own ability." Eric is next to Charles, prescribing his medicine. According to what Han Yu said, the two had already searched for mutant children all over the world, and wanted to bring them to the Mutant Academy, so that they could have a place to rest in peace, but the first child they met made them face a difficult situation. That is a girl who has the power of mind and feels that she can control everything. Chapter 133 Level 3 Mutant X, have the analysis results come out? Charles reluctantly said. The results have been drawn. According to the results of the two previous battles, the system matches the input data. The mutant's ability is initially identified as telepathy and telekinesis. The mutant gene has reached level 3. X system said. Both Charles and Eric were heartbroken. Level 2 mutants are already very powerful among mutants today. As Han Yu said before, mutants are divided into 5 levels, with level 1 being the lowest and level 5 being the highest. The difference between level 1 and level 2 lies in the control of abilities. Most mutants are in level 1, that is, they cannot control their own abilities, while mutants in level 2 can initially understand and control their own superpowers. Level 3 and above, including level 3, is the strengthening of abilities. The more they develop their own abilities, the more things they can do with their mutant abilities, and the more proficient they are, the more they will improve their mutant abilities. Person level. According to Han Yu's previous analysis, most of the mutants that can be found on the Earth should be at the 2nd or 3rd level. And above the 3rd level, there are terrorist existences that can threaten a city or even several cities. When encountering mutants of this level and cannot persuade them to come to the Mutant Academy, Charles and the others have to use some special methods to make trouble in them. Before, subdue as early as possible, so as not to create a big commotion. It's really difficult to solve. The two of us have been practicing our abilities hard for a while. After the X system test, we barely reached the 3rd level. That girl has a 3rd level mutant ability when she makes a move. The future is immeasurable. Bring her to this academy before she gets into something bigger. Eric frowned. He had some gauze wrapped around his body, and he looked a little injured. His telepathy has been able to invade other people's brains at will, and create himself in the opponent's field of vision that only the opponent can see. In battle, he can destroy the opponent's brain in this way. And after Charles took over the post of vice president of the college, he didn't like to fight, and he also trained his ability to the point where he could control fine iron sand. Because Han Yu said before, if you agree to establish a mutant academy, then I require that your abilities must start at level 4, and you will definitely encounter more powerful mutants in the future. Not everyone can use words to dissuade them. When you encounter danger, if you don't have the ability to protect yourself, sooner or later you will die on the way to attract mutants. Only now did they realize that what Han Yu said was true. If their mutant ability hadn't reached level 3, they would have suffered much more serious injuries than they did now in the previous confrontation with that girl's ability. Call Han Yu, it's really difficult for the two of us to resolve. Charles said. Hearing this, Eric took out his mobile phone and dialed Han Yu's number. No answer. Didn't answer? He said that if the call is not answered, it should be out of the service area. Try the phone in his shop, or ask his friend to help. Charles said. Eric nodded, and immediately dialed the second call, and the call was connected quickly. Which one? Hi, I'm Eric, Han Yu's friend, isn't he at home? Eric asked. The person who answered the phone was Ao Chuang, and he said, I'm not at home, I've got something to do, what can I do with him? Who are you? Ultron. Oh, Mr. Ultron, it's like this. Eric explained to him what happened to him. Han Yu told them that no matter who is in the grocery store, they can trust them. If he is not around, what needs Han Yu's help? You can tell them and let them help. After listening to what had happened, Ultron nodded slowly. With a thought, he connected his brain with the computer database to the X system. And directly read out the powerful mutant ability that Eric and the others encountered. Related information. King Glay, according to my preliminary judgment, she has telepathy and telekinesis that can control objects. Has she reached the 3rd level of mutants? Well, she is indeed a difficult opponent. Ultron stroked his chin imitating Han Yu, thought for a moment, and said to the phone, let's meet and talk, I'll go find you. This kind of thing can't be explained clearly on the phone. Han Yu said that their grocery store can't directly intervene in the matter of mutants, because their level will eventually surpass ordinary people. Of course, if Han Yu and the others call themselves gods, it would not be awkward at all, so as long as they don't affect Han Yu, he doesn't want to interfere with the affairs of the earth. But to help the good side is another way of saying, just don't help the evildoers. In the future, Charles and Eric will mostly worry about the matter of mutants. As long as it is not those mutants who are too strong, the grocery store will not intervene. Now the grocery store has the smell of an arbitration office. After getting the exact address, Ultron turned off the computer and prepared to leave. Hey, where are you going? You left just after forming a team. Seeing Ultron's movements, Kuei Yin quickly took off his earphones and said. Charles and the others are in trouble. The opponent that the boss ordered before, which can make them both ambiguous, must be a bit difficult. The boss is not in this world now, and we need to solve these things. Ultron said. Charles? Are you talking about the professor at the Mutant Academy founded by the boss? I'm going to. I've already said that I want to help too. Why don't you take me with you? Kuei Yin said. Okay. Ultron did not refuse, and the two immediately set out to go to Berlin to find Charles. After calling the private jet, the two of Ultron rushed to the airport. They are now considered dignified people in the eyes of others, and there is no need to use green light rings everywhere. Anyway, if you have a lot of money, you can just buy a few airplanes as a means of transportation. That evening, Ultron and Charles met. I'm Charles, this is Eric. Charles introduced himself. I'm Ultron, this is Pietro, we are all from Hanyu's shop. Ultron smiled and shook hands with Charles. The two sides did not exchange too many greetings and went directly to the topic. About the previous mutant, I have a plan. Ultron took out his laptop, opened it and explained to them, considering the ability of the other party to interfere with the mind's telepathy and control foreign objects, psychic power, I plan to make a suppressor, first suppress her ability, and then explain the situation to her after appeasing her, otherwise, if there is a disagreement, the fight will only bring harm, no benefit. What are you going to do? Charles asked. To make this device, I just need the help of the two of you. Ultron stared at Charles and Eric and smiled. Chapter 134 Numbscalp. You can tell us what we need to do. Although Charles was a little puzzled, he still said so. Ultron took out 2 patches, handed them to Charles and said, put this on your temples. Charles took the patch and looked at it. It was just a soft rubber patch the size of a thumb. When he squeezed it gently, he could feel a small chip in it. Say the words and place the patch on the temple. Ultron nodded, and then said, this is the neural connector. Next, I will transfer your consciousness to a spiritual space. Think carefully about everything you met Jean Grey, including the scene when she attacked you. As long as I have an approximate value, I can start making suppressors. Charles and Eric nodded, indicating that they were ready, and Ultron made an OK gesture, and the latter entered the countdown. You are about to enter the spiritual space, you will feel some discomfort, but don't panic, just keep calm, try your best to recall the memory of that day. 3, 2, 1, start connecting. As soon as Ultron's words fell, Charles shook their bodies suddenly, and their breathing began to become short of breath. Consciously, they felt as if they had fallen into an endless abyss, falling continuously, and the sudden feeling of falling made them nervous subconsciously, and the outside hands were tightly grasping the armrests of the chairs. Charles's nervousness made him subconsciously control the metal objects around him, and the metal objects, no matter how many, floated slightly. Damn, what's going on? Seeing this, Kuei Yin hid directly behind Ultron. He is an agile player, and he is definitely right to hide behind Ultron when he is indecisive. He is a battle tank. If there is anything to hit him first, Kuei Yin hides. Regarding Kuei Yin's behavior, Ultron rolled his eyes, and he whispered to the 2 Charles in front of him, saying, stable your minds. When the voice sounded, the bodies of Charles and Eric trembled again, and only then did their consciousness gather. By the way, Ultron said that there will be some discomfort, so you have to calm down. Charles's breathing gradually became calmer, his body slowly stopped as his consciousness continued to sink, and the surrounding scenes began to change, and he soon came to the town where Jean Grey was in his memory. Charles, are you all right? Eric saw Charles appearing here, and ran towards him quickly. He is a telepathic mutant, and his control over such things is naturally stronger than Charles, so he came to this small town in consciousness a long time ago. It's okay, I'm fine, let's get down to business. Charles waved his hand and said. Eric nodded, he pressed Charles's shoulder, activated his telepathy, and the scene in front of him changed to near Jean Grey's house. There are 2 people, Eric himself, because this is the world in memory, so there will be them in memory. The 2 walked over together and watched their past self fighting with Jean Grey at a close distance. Both of them were trying to make their memories as specific as possible, so that Ultron could collect more specific information. Because the other party was still a mutant child, Charles and Eric in the past had never taken the initiative to attack, but passively resolved the other party's attack. Suddenly, a golden brilliance flooded into the eyes of Jean Grey in the memory, and her behavior suddenly deviated from the actions in the memory of the 2 of Charles, and did something that made their scalps tingle instantly. The space around her body was distorted, and then, Jean Grey actually looked at the real Charles and her too, and her voice also sounded, where is this, is it in your memory, can you actually do it? You guys are great at this kind of thing. A sentence that couldn't be heard was good or bad. Which directly made Charles and Eric frowned, and stared blankly at the 15 or 16-year-old girl. Impossible, this is impossible, this is obviously our memory world, how could she have a self-awareness? Eric murmured, he couldn't do this kind of thing at all, after all, it was in other people's memories, it was impossible you can also control yourself in other people's memories, this girl's ability is definitely not pure telepathy. At this time, Jean Grey is only 15 or 16 years old, which is the most beautiful age, but at this time, Her eyes are shining with golden light, and golden light clusters appear on her hands and feet. After the golden light ball appeared, she floated away, floating in mid-air. The golden brilliance made her look like a god descended, and Charles and Eric suddenly had a hairy feeling. It was many years later that they understood the meaning of this time, the feeling of facing death. I can't fight outside enough, but I still want to find abuse in my memory, then I will help you. A dazzling golden ball of light gathered in the palm of Qin Giliai's right hand, and it was thrown towards Eric and the two of them. Wherever this ball of light passed, there were faint signs of space rupture. The two of Charles knew that it was impossible for the two of them to take this blow, and at this moment, the space in front of them twisted like a swirl, swallowing the golden ball of light into it. Good guy, you can actually have the ability to act independently in your consciousness. You really are not an ordinary mutant. The space in front of Charles was distorted, and two figures appeared in front of them, Ultron and Kuei Yin. Fortunately, I can control space. Although this is consciousness, it also belongs to the nature of space. Otherwise, I might not be able to stop your attack. Ao Chuang chuckled and said that his space control ability came from his body, the body of the Sky Demon Puppet. The Sky Demon Puppet is a product of the different fire continent. It was created by Yan Emperor Xiao Yan. After refining, it has reached the peak level of Dozun, and people at the level of Dozun are all existences that can control the space. Ultron did not waste this body, but just used it as an ordinary carrier. He has already explored the abilities of the Sky Demon Puppet thoroughly, and he has also mastered the ability to control space. Kuei Yin beside him looked at Ultron eagerly, and said with some envy, "That's great, you always have such a cool ability, why is mine so speechless and fast? The last thing a man can say is that he is fast yet, shit." Chapter 135 Jean Grey. Ultron smiled, ignoring Kuei Yin's complaints, he had already said a lot of similar things. Now he is placed in the reunion, and he can definitely be regarded as the group of top fighters, but in the grocery store, his ability seems a bit insufficient. The speed is fast, the flying speed of the green light ring can exceed the speed of light. Ultron's original metal body was so strong that even Kuei Yin couldn't hit it, and the current body is even more difficult to cause the slightest damage. And his younger sister Wanda is the most mysterious ancient magic in the universe, chaos magic, and was also taught by the supreme mage Gu, and her future achievements are not low. As the manager of the grocery store, Han Yu's strength is beyond doubt, and he can definitely surpass Ultron and Wanda. In comparison, Kuei Yin's combat power is really the lowest in the grocery store. Seeing the sudden appearance of two guys whom she had never met before, and easily defusing her own attack, Qin Giliai said vigilantly with a serious expression on her face. "Who are you? Are you also trying to hurt me? Are you from a mutant research institute like the two of them?" After these two men appeared, the energy in her body was revealing an emotion to her, trembling slightly, expressing fear. This made Qin Giliai very puzzled. She didn't know how strong her ability was, but she knew that with her own ability, she avoided a lot of external damage. This was the first time she felt this kind of humanized fear coming from the energy in her body, which made her both curious and vigilant. "It's the Academy of Mutants, it's the Academy." Charles said speechlessly, "Once you change the word, the meaning of the word will be different. You didn't attack us because of this before, did you? I don't care whether you are a mutant or a mutant. You are definitely not a good person. You must want to use my ability to do bad things. I don't want to go with you." The golden light on Qin Giliai erupted again, and Ao Chuang hurriedly stepped forward to comfort her. Hey, girl, calm down, listen to us, we really don't mean any harm. This mutant academy we established is to give children like you a place to live normally, and you're not afraid of it because of your ability. Are you being discriminated against? So what, I don't care what they think." Being said to the point, Qin Giliai still pretended to be calm and said. "No, you care." Ao Chuang looked at Qin Giliai with a smile, and said, "If you don't care what they think, you won't trap yourself at home, trapped in the room and never go out, it is because you are afraid of others' criticism of you, to you discrimination, that's why you don't go out, right? In their eyes, I'm just a freak. They despise me and hate me, because I don't go out because of them." Qin Giliai said with a fluctuating tone. Yes, I know that you have to bear the grievances yourself, but it's not your fault." Charles also stood up at this time, playing the emotional card, and then said, "Jin, listen to me, you are not a freak, you are also a human being, you will die if you are shot by a gun, and you will bleed bright red blood if you are cut by a knife. People like us are just genetically mutated, giving us some special abilities. If I have to say it, I actually think we are evolved humans. But even so, we mutants are only a minority of all human beings, not even a single one. In order to protect mutants, we have established a mutant academy, intending to teach mutants to control their abilities and give them an ability to control them. A place where you can live in peace, without malice. I believe you will understand, right? Charles looked at Jean Grey sincerely. The latter tightly pursed her mouth. Although she didn't know what she was thinking, the golden light in her eyes had dissipated. The four of Ao Juang didn't speak, but looked at Qin Gilei quietly, giving others some time to think. Qin Gilei recalled all the encounters she suffered in school, and couldn't help clenching her fists. Because of her ability, many people called her a freak, but she didn't make much movement, making it look like an ordinary campus bullying. Some people who didn't know were also incited by those people. And they kept saying that she was a freak. In the end, Qin Gilei couldn't bear it, so she stayed behind closed doors. Seeing the angry expression on Qin Gilei's face and the gradually clenched fists, Ultron's face was serious. He was ready to make a move at any time, and there was an invisible air cyclone between the fingers of the hand behind him. Move between. In this conscious world, the moment Jean Grey's consciousness had autonomous consciousness, Ultron and Quicksilver outside felt a mental wave coming from the minds of Charles and Eric. The mental fluctuations were very powerful, and they contained obvious hostility. Although Ultron didn't know what happened, he and Kuei Yin immediately put on the metal patch and entered Charles's consciousness space. This came very timely, just in time for Qin Grey to launch an attack on the two of Charles, and Ultron, who resisted this move, was very surprised. If Charles and Eric are hit, it will cause great mental damage to both of them, and it will directly affect their physical bodies in reality, causing irreversible consequences. It can be seen that Jean Grey's mutant ability, what level of horror has been reached. As soon as she wakes up, she has the ability of a third-level mutant. This girl's mutant ability may reach the 4th level, no, she can even rush to the 5th level. Even Kuei Yin, who is usually joking and laughing, has a serious face. He knows the grading system of mutants. The 3rd-level mutants already have very strong combat effectiveness, and the 4th-level mutants have become the best among mutants. As for level 5, it is no exaggeration to say that level 5 mutants can affect the existence of planets and even the universe. According to the grading system of mutants, the current Kuei Yin and Ultron are both middle and high-level 4th-level mutants. Kuei Yin's combat power is slightly weaker, and he can only dominate the planet. Ultron's combat power is incalculable. Now with his strength, he can smash an asteroid with one hand, but he has never fought seriously. Kuei Yin reckons that at least he can easily fight with one hand. The degree to which the asteroid was detonated. For Qin Grey, a mutant with a mutant talent whose upper limit can reach level 5, no matter whether it is good or bad, it is impossible to put her in the outside world, it is too dangerous. If one day the mood is wrong, the damage caused is unimaginable. Qin, don't worry, you won't be discriminated against at the Mutant Academy, and you can learn to control your own abilities under the guidance of the teacher. When the time comes, we will form a superhero organization like the Avengers, and you can become a superhero, let those who look down on you be dumbfounded. Charles said that this was the first time he proposed the concept of the X-Men, because the Mutant Academy hadn't been built yet, and Han Yu didn't tell him about it. It was Charles's own idea to form a superhero organization like the Avengers. What he wanted was to let the mutants go out to help ordinary humans, maybe the mutants could coexist peacefully with ordinary people. Chapter 136 The Faculty of the Academy. Qin Gilei, who struggled for a long time, finally let go of her clenched fists. Apart from this mutant ability, she is just a 15 or 16-year-old girl. The exclusion caused her to become like this. Well, I promise you, I don't want to be regarded as a freak. If there is a chance to change this kind of life, I am willing to try. Qin Gilei said, she is still very talkative after regaining her senses. Very well, then you can pack up tonight, we will pick you up tomorrow. Charles suppressed the ecstasy in his heart. This is the first student to join the Mutant Academy. If you accept the first student, there will be a second, and a third. Qin Gilei, who was still vicious just now, only nodded obediently at this time. Seeing this, Charles and the others looked at each other and nodded, and exited the space in unison. Back to reality, Charles stood up immediately, stepped forward to hold Ultron's hand, and said with some excitement, "Mr. Ultron, I really have to thank you this time, without your help, this matter might be really troublesome big." Ao Chuang smiled and said, "Our boss said that he is the principal of the Mutant Academy. His business is our business. This kind of help should be helped, but I will have to help you later. Qin Gili is just in the beginning, we will meet more mutant children with extraordinary talents, and the two of you have to step up and improve your own strength." Both Charles and Eric nodded seriously. The two of them are teachers of the Mutant Academy. They not only need to teach students to control their abilities, but also have the ability to control students. In case a student accidentally loses control of his ability in the future, and no one can suppress it, that would be bad. Ultron said, "As for the suppressor of mutants, I will give you the design plan. You can find a way to find someone to do it. We provide the solution, and you have to solve the technology yourself. After all, we can't help you do these things all the time. Your teachers have to improve their teaching staff. You can't just look for students, but you have to find some mutants who are similar to your age. Otherwise, there will be more students in the future, and you two alone can't take care of them." "Well, we've also thought about it, and we already have a target candidate." Eric brought a computer from the office, opened the information they had collected, and said, "Henry, 24 years old, the mutant ability is animalization. When the ability is activated, it will transform into a blue-haired lion-like man, a scientist who spans many fields. Ololo, 23 years old, the ability is to control the weather. Ruwen, 22 years old, has the ability to change into another person's appearance at will, including voice and fingerprints. Logan, the ability is fast healing, with a pair of bone claws." Listening to Eric introduce the teachers they have selected one by one, Ultron nodded in satisfaction. It sounds okay, and he is also looking forward to what will become of these together. Kuei Yin said, "Well, yes, then according to what I said before, our grocery store will also send money to you on a regular basis. Teachers must do better in this regard. Just relying on the GDA game alone, the monthly income of the grocery store has reached $2 billion. It is very, very scary for a game to reach this level of monthly income. Even the monthly income of the popular games before GDA was only about $1 million gold, but it is already a very good income in those games. Compared with the current GDA, those games are nothing. Everything in GDA is free, and there is only one currency in the game. You can get it by playing missions or even fighting NPCs on the street, but there are too few. If you want to buy better equipment, clothes, and houses, you can only play the task, but the task is also difficult. So everyone recharges, at least 95% of hundreds of millions of players will recharge. This amount means that the monthly income of GDA will not be low, not to mention that there are some skins that can spend a lot of money for a single knife-rich man. That makes GDA's revenue numbers look even more incredible. Don't worry, the money you gave plus my own assets is already enough and even a lot more. Since you don't have to worry about money anymore, we can rest assured that this is our lifelong career. If it is done well, it will be famous in history." Eric laughed. He was originally a physical education teacher, and he didn't think about doing big things at first, as long as he didn't get too far away from Charles. It is much more meaningful to free up a habitat for mutants all over the world than to sleep at home, and Eric is very happy to do so. In order to be safe, Ultron and Kuei Yin planned to follow suit. After all, the other party was a third-level mutant, and it would be safer to have one more person present, so they had to control the situation on their own side. That night, Ao Chuang informed Han Yu of this matter through the green light ring. The green light ring came from a grocery store. Its message can be conveyed to other worlds. Messages can be sent across boundaries through this ring. On the other side, Ao Chuang told Han Yu what happened through the green light ring, and it was already the second day here for Han Yu. Qin Gili actually showed up. Han Yu raised his brows. He is no stranger to Qin Gili's identity. In the movies or comics he remembered, Qin Gili's identity was Phoenix Girl. Her ability is one of the most powerful forces in the Marvel Universe, the Phoenix Power. Its characteristic is Nirvana rebirth. As the name suggests, Phoenix can be reborn from Nirvana. Even if the body is broken up, the holder of the power of the Phoenix can keep the consciousness forever, and then condense a new body. Han Yu said, "You should also pay attention to Qin Gili's follow-up progress. I know her ability, once fully developed, will be as powerful as Wanda's chaos magic. We must grasp the progress of such a person, so as not to be passive when an accident happens. Understood, boss. After Ultron finished speaking, he asked again, when are you coming back? Within 24 hours of grocery store time. Han Yu said that, he used the time in the grocery store as the standard, because the flow rate of time in the two worlds will be different. It may be daytime at the grocery store, but it may be night here. After saying this, Ultron disconnected. Han Yu took a long breath. He just left for a while. He didn't expect this kind of thing to happen to Marvel Earth. At this time he was still at Kyu's house, and he was in the toilet. After flushing the water, he was startled when he opened the door. Chugzyu, you don't even have to follow me to the toilet, do you? Chapter 137 Fire Control. Seeing Han Yu coming out, Chugzyu immediately moved closer, looked him up and down, and said so. It's so strange, I clearly heard you talking inside, but you didn't see a mobile phone on you. Han Yu didn't panic at all, and saw him roll his eyes, and said. Can't I tell myself jokes while peeing? After that, he bypassed Fuxu, walked to the living room and sat down. Han Yu turned his head to look at Fuxu who was following him, and asked, by the way, this is Kyu's house. Why do you have the key? Are you familiar with it? Humph, this is the base of my new Fubuxu team, of course I came here whenever I wanted to. Fubuki raised her snow-white chin and snorted softly. The so-called new Fubuki group means that after Fubuki and Saitama met, she saw that the latter was surrounded by S-level heroes, such as King and Genos, and talked and laughed with them. Fubuki envied him very much, so she often came to Saitama with a cheeky face, and said that they were members of the Shin Fubuki group, and this is the base of the Shin Fubuki group, so she came here as a matter of course. Can you bear this? Han Yu turned his gaze to Kyu, and saw the latter smiled awkwardly, and said, I didn't agree, she said that alone. Usually, I don't open the door when she comes to see me, but she just broke in. I am helpless for always repairing the door, so I can only give her the key. Although Kyu is very powerful, the opponent did not attack him directly, but used this method to annoy him. The only thing that a straight man like Saitama can do is to ignore the opponent. Fuxu rolled her eyes at Kyu and ignored him. She moved to Han Yu's side and asked him, which city are you from? I've never seen you before. What are your abilities? Extreme swordsmanship and ice element ability? By the way, I think you still have the ability to control flames. Chugzyu's familiar words made Han Yu's mouth twitch. It's hard to imagine that this guy had a cold face when he was outside yesterday, but now he's asking around, like a curious baby. Han Yu didn't intend to let the topic lead to himself, and was about to make up a prelude, but Kitama, Genos, and King all stared at him because of Fubuxu's words, and the curiosity in their eyes was not weak. Fuxu. King said, most heroes use technology and physical skills. Only a small number of people like Fuuki have superpowers. I see your attack, there is ice on the sword, and the clothes on your body seem to be replaced automatically, which is very similar. The clothes in the game are automatically replaced. King looks very fierce on the surface, but his character is very gentle. His so-called cruelty is just the 3 marks on his left eye that were caught when he met a strange person before and the King engine imagined by others. In fact, it would not be wrong to say that he is an otaku. I want to learn how to control the fire. How did you control the flames to that extent? If I can learn it, it will definitely improve my combat ability, Han. No, Mr. Han, I beg you to teach me how to control the fire. Fire. Please. Genos said to Han Yu. He could hear his tone was serious, but the reason why Han Yu could control the strange fire was because of the super spiritual power of his immortal seal, which allowed him to control the flame. How could it be possible for ordinary people? It can be controlled, even for a transformed person like Genos. Because Genos's fighting method is to use his body's firepower and superb physical skills to get close to the enemy, or to suppress it from a distance, if he learns how to control fire like Han Yu's, his combat power will increase by a qualitative leap. It's no problem if you want to learn how to control fire. Han Yu took a sip of the tea in front of him, and said with a smile, you have been to my shop, you know, I am a businessman. I understand, please make a price. Genos nodded. As an S-class hero, he often engages in heroic activities, so he has a lot of property. Businessman, what are you selling? Chugzyu interjected curiously. There are no wonders in the heavens and myriad worlds. Han Yu said calmly that he didn't care that his identity would be exposed. Anyway, Q is probably the only one who can cause harm to him in this world. The heavens and myriad worlds mean, selling peripherals or something? King asked. As a game fan, he had heard of this term before, and his first reaction was that he was selling merchandise or something. No, I come from another world. This is just a world among the heavens and myriad worlds. Han Yu smiled. I run a grocery store. To the outside world, it is just a very ordinary grocery store, but for you, for these special people, there are many unexpected things in my store. Hearing what Han Yu said, even Qiu and Genos were at a loss. When they entered the grocery store, Han Yu didn't say what kind of shop it was selling things from the heavens and the world, and the two of them only found out now. Simply put, your world is one of many universes. There are many other Earths like this one. In the world I know, the world you live in now can only be regarded as a medium to low level of technology, but the combat power of the creatures is not bad. When you start the interstellar jump, or you can go to other planets freely, you will be truly powerful. I have a little understanding of these things. Are you talking about the concept of the multiverse? Genos seemed a little excited. Seeing that the three of Saitama were at a loss, he explained the concept to them. Some scholars say that the world we live in is not a single world, and there are other worlds that are exactly like us. These worlds cannot feel each other's existence. So far, no one has confirmed that the multiverse is real. I don't believe it, it's too unbelievable. Fuxu said, obviously in disbelief. Your world is full of weirdos. It would be unthinkable to put it in other worlds. Han Yu said indifferently. Genos had fought against Ultron. After the fight, he clearly felt that standing in front of Ultron was like an ant standing in front of a high mountain. It was really insignificant. He also had this feeling when facing Saitama, and Genos believed that if the two of them were a little serious, it would be an easy thing to beat him to death. Excuse me, how can you teach me how to control the flame? Genos asked quickly. He didn't want to let go of this good opportunity. While speaking, Han Yu also showed his hand, and saw him hold it in the air, and 4 papers about half the length of a finger appeared in his hand. The cover was very simple, and there were 4 large characters on the blue background, which were in Chinese. Although their country also has Chinese characters, Fubuki, Saitama, and King have relatively little contact with these foreign languages. Only Genos used his slightly broken Chinese to read the above 4 characters. Huang Gang, Secret Volume. Chapter 138, Huang Gang Secret Scroll. I'm sorry, I don't understand what this has to do with fire control. Genos shook his head with a puzzled expression on his face. There is no such thing as Huang Gang Secret Scroll in their world, and they don't know what the relationship between making papers and fire control is. The so-called fire control is not because I have any fire attribute superpowers, but because my mental power has reached the level where I can hold objects with will and attack and defend with will. As he spoke, Han Yu lightly tapped the table with his index finger, and everyone saw that the teapot on the table in front of them actually floated up by itself and stopped steadily in mid-air. Han Yu moved his fingers again, and the teapot filled the cups of several people with tea, and then it fell back on the table lightly. This move surprised everyone, and they suddenly turned their attention to Chugzhu, because Han Yu's performance was very similar to that of Chugzhu's sister, Tornado, and her abilities were very similar to what Han Yu showed. However, the Heroes Association's judgment on the Tornado was only a general superpower and did not specify what kind of ability it was. Now it seems to be the control of mental power that Han Yu said. Han Yu took out a Huang Gang secret scroll and said with a smile, "This is something from my store," which was transcribed with mental strength. There are 1 piece of Chinese, and English in it. Take it and make it, and give it to me in 3 hours. Your final score depends on your potential in terms of mental power. The reason why Han Yu released this method of testing mental strength in the form of Huang Gang papers was because he was tortured by this kind of papers when he was immortal in his previous life. His own willpower, now taking it out as a test of mental strength, can be regarded as a bad taste of Han Yu. Fubuki became interested, took a set of papers, and said, "I want a set, and I'll give it to you after the money." The relationship between her and her sister is not particularly good. Fubuki's sister was born a genius, which made Fubuki live in the shadow of Tornado. Now I know that I can test whether I have the potential of superpowers like Tornado. Of course, Fubuki couldn't let it go. As he said that, Han Yu shook his other hand again, several pens appeared in his hand, Chuxu took out one bluntly, opened the paper and started to work. Genos didn't say much, took a set of papers and started writing. Don't you two give it a try? Seeing Qiu and King watching, Han Yu asked. Saitama waved his hand, indicating that he was not interested, while King said with some difficulty, I don't think I have the money to afford this set of papers. Aren't you an S-level hero? The Hero Association didn't pay you a salary. Han Yu asked. King smiled awkwardly, pulled Han Yu aside, and whispered, to be honest with you, my status is because I happened to be there every time Kia killed a monster, and I was banned as an S rank for no reason. I know that. Han Yu said flatly. You actually know? King was a little surprised. Saitama was the only one who knew about it. Everyone else thought he was the strongest, and he was also called the strongest man on earth. The reason why he is still ranked 7th in the S-class hero is because he never takes a shot in the face of a weirdo, scaring himself away with the aura imagined by the opponent himself, and has no defeat. But because the opponent always scares him away, King has no wins, so he stays in the 7th place. And no one comes to compete with him, so he has been sitting firmly in this position. Seeing that the other party knew about this, King said with some embarrassment, that's why I don't go out, for fear of encountering weird people. If I can't beat it, I'm finished. I basically use the salary that the Heroes Association usually pays me for games and mobile phones. It's done. My status is special. I know a lot of things, but that's not important. What's important is that the things I sell are not clearly marked. It's up to me to ask for what you want. Just take it and do it. Han Yu waved his hands a little dumbfounded, took a copy of the paper on the table and handed it to King. King hesitated for a while, and finally took the paper, walked to the table and sat down, and started to write with Genos and Fubuki. From time to time, the faces of the three could be seen with puzzled expressions. It was rare for King and Fuxu to scratch their heads. Is this just an ordinary question? Saitama asked in a low voice. It's a common question, but the difficulty of the test questions will decrease with their willpower. If their willpower is not strong, the test questions will become more and more difficult to understand. The stronger the willpower, the more difficult the above questions will be. Han Yu said that this is equivalent to opening the level. If the level is not enough, it will be difficult to understand the things you come into contact with, but if the level is high, the ability to understand things will be greatly improved. Qiu nodded half understood, found a two-player card game, and started a fight with Han Yu, playing the game on one side and solving the problem on the other. Time passed quickly, and the first person who handed in the test came out, and it was Genos. Han Yu took his paper, glanced at it a few times, and then gave him a score of 70. 70 points, isn't my grade very good? Genos said, the full score on the paper is 100, and he only got 70, which is just a little better than a passing grade. It's not very good, but it's promising. Passing the pass means that you are qualified to go on in terms of mental strength. Han Yu said. These questions are too difficult. Genos was a little frustrated, he was not satisfied with his results. Immediately afterwards, Fuxu's test paper was handed in. Her score was about the same as Genos's, 69 points, not high, but it happened to be able to cultivate spiritual power. The last one to hand in was of course King, and he was the only one who didn't hand in. Han Yu glanced at it as before, but after this glance, his eyes suddenly became serious, and he carefully looked at the questions written on it. After a while, he raised his head and asked King. You did this in 3 hours, why did you hand in the last one? I thought I had a problem with this question, but I was too embarrassed to ask, so I struggled with these questions for a long time. King said, his expression was a bit troubled, and the last one he handed in must be the worst. He thought that Genos and Fuxu's papers must have been correct a lot, and Han Yu confirmed the correct answer after a few glances, but he only looked at his own for a while, and he felt that he had made too many mistakes, which made him have to look at the answers carefully to see if you can give a higher score. With a thought, Han Yu scored King's paper. King saw it and was dumbfounded. 91 points. How is this possible? Everyone was shocked. Chapter 139. Qiu was very surprised when he saw this result. Didn't he say that he had activated his mental power? Obviously, King is just an ordinary person. The only difference is that his heartbeat is very loud. How could there be such a result? This is your talent, and it has nothing to do with my test paper. It seems that you can try to go on in this area and reach 90 points. Your future achievements should not be weaker than that of Tornado. Han Yu smiled and said, with his own mental strength, it is no problem to get a perfect score in this set of papers, but for others, getting 80 points is considered a very good result. Now King has scored 91 points, which can be said to be very good. Is this true? King couldn't believe that he could get such a result. Isn't the harder the test, the higher the score? Han Yu smiled and said, no, the higher the mental strength, the easier the questions you see. If I do this paper, the questions I see are basically at the level of 1 + 1 = 2. It turned out to be like this. I thought it was because of my poor aptitude, so I just said it was so simple, which caused me to struggle for a long time. The corner of King's mouth twitched, which made him so worried before, thinking about every question, afraid that its simplicity would be a pitfall, but he didn't expect it to be really simple. I'll charge you 10 million yen for this set of papers. It's a friendship price. Han Yu said with a smile. 10 million yen seems like a lot, but it's only nearly $100,000, which is really not worth it to Han Yu. What? After hearing this, Genos and Fuxu asked him for the bank card number without hesitation, and Han Yu gave them the Wanjitong bank card number of the grocery store, which was used at this time. King, on the other hand, plans to pay in 2 installments. It is impossible for him to pay all the money at one time, and Han Yu did not refuse. King's credit is still acceptable. Han Yu took the 3 sets of papers, wrote some rules on them with mental power, and said, the method to improve mental power is very simple. You can take this set of papers and write them again. The handwriting can be erased. The more frequent you are, the faster your mental power will improve. Every time you finish writing, it will automatically prompt the score. When your score reaches 100 points, you can try to move small objects with your mind, and then go from small to large. He looked at Genos and continued, like Genos, if you want to learn fire control, you can try it with a lighter after the score reaches 100%. Just increase the fire volume slowly. Genos looked a little troubled, and said, what if I don't understand, can I still find you? Han Yu touched his chin and suddenly thought of a good idea. He faced Genos and Fuxu and said, I can see that you are interested in spiritual power, but I can't always give it to you all the time. Give pointers. How about this? I have an academy, there are many children with superpowers, you go there to be teachers, you teach them how to control superpowers, I can teach you how to improve your mental power from time to time, how about it? What Han Yu was referring to was of course the mutant school. As the principal there, although he usually didn't have much time to take care of it, if he had the opportunity to make the school better, Han Yu would naturally do it. Is far. Fuxu hesitated for a while and asked. Because Han Yu said that he came from another world, so if he went to his academy, wouldn't he be going to another world? Don't worry, I can set the coordinates of the space gate where you want. You can set it wherever you think it is convenient and hidden. If the other party can ask this question, there is already a sign, and Han Yu said while the iron is hot. The working hours are not long, you can spare about an hour and a half every day to teach there. The mutant school is not a formal school, it doesn't have to arrange a lot of classes a day like ordinary schools, if you insist, it is more like a vocational school, the curriculum is more relaxed, students and teachers can have a lot of time to arrange own extracurricular life. I'm fine, let's go. Hearing that the distance problem that he was most worried about had been resolved, Fubuki no longer had any worries. After all, this is not going abroad, it is out of bounds, and you will go directly to another world. If you can't adapt, it will be very difficult. I'm fine. Genos said, raising his hand. Seeing that both of them agreed, Han Yu was very happy. An S-level hero and a B-level hero are number 1, and they are definitely qualified to be teachers in mutant schools. What about Kitama? Think about it. Anyway, you usually don't have much to do. Heroes are just out of interest. Why don't you come and be a teacher, and I'll pay you? Han Yu said to Q that if the latter can come, although he doesn't know what kind of strength he will become in the Marvel world, he is definitely not weak, at least at the level of Thor. Q blinked his monotonous eyes. He hadn't thought about being a teacher at all, but the teacher in Han Yu's mouth made him feel a little interesting. I think you can try, as long as it's not the kind of high school lectures are enough to make you fall asleep. Han Yu smiled and said, of course not. You can decide what to teach in class. You can teach them cultural lessons, or take them out for actual combat drills. It doesn't matter. After getting Kyu, Han Yu felt more at ease about the future of the mutant school. He got 3 teachers, and one of them could become the patron saint of the school. His job as the principal was not in vain. There were 5 people in the room, except for Han Yu. He recruited 3, because he knew that King had no ability, and he was also an ordinary person in his heart, so it was impossible for him to be a teacher, as he could not teach much. Han Yu was deliberating how to tell King about this, and it was pitiful to let him alone. Unexpectedly, before he could speak, King raised his hand first. "Can I go to that school? Can I go to school?" Both Kyu and Han Yu showed surprise on their faces. They didn't expect him to have this idea, while Fubuki and Genos had another idea. Fubuki said, "King, you are the 7th S-class hero, and you actually want to be a student?" Genos was also puzzled. King doesn't know about fighting at all, and only Han Yu and Kyu know that although Genos often comes, he often sees King. But he attributed this to the fact that his master was too strong, so the people around him were so talented, and he didn't even think about whether King had real skills. Because apart from the number 1 S-class hero who never showed up, in the Heroes Association, King has the highest rating. Chapter 140 Translation of Kanjak. King shrugged his shoulders. He knew what he was capable of. Now that he knew that he had a high potential in mental power, King didn't want to let go of this opportunity. He also hopes that he has the strength that matches his current status, and doesn't let Kyu solve it every time. After making the decision, Han Yu took out 4 teleportation scrolls that could fix the orientation from the grocery store, handed them to the 4 of them, and said, "This can only be used once, find a teleportation place that you think is feasible, and slap this scroll on the door, by the way, and this." Han Yu took out 4 new mobile phones from the grocery store system. These are very ordinary touchscreen mobile phones. There is nothing strange about it. Wisps of green light gushed out from his fingertips and rushed towards the charging port of the mobile phone. Soon, a lantern ring icon appeared in the contacts, and the note on it was Han Yu. "You have this mobile phone, you can contact me in this world, if you have anything to do, you can use it to contact me." Fuxu and the others took the phone and put it away politely. Fubuki said, "Hey, let's go to your school now, I want to see how the working environment is." The others also nodded. It would be better if Han Yu could take him with him. If they went by themselves, it would be embarrassing not to know anyone. Hearing this, Han Yu pursed his lips, nodded and said, "I think it's okay, I just haven't been to school to see it. Let's go." Unexpectedly, Han Yu agreed, and Kyu became excited. After all, this is going to another world, and everyone is not excited about it. "Wait a minute, let me make a call." Han Yu took out his Wanjitong mobile phone and dialed Charles's number. After the call was connected, he asked, "Charles, are you in school?" "Yes, what's the matter, is the principal of Han University coming to inspect?" Han Yu rarely called Charles, but he still asked this question, and the latter joked. Han Yu rolled his eyes helplessly, "As long as we're here, I'll find 3 teachers and 1 student, and bring them there for you, so they can see the environment." "Really? Come on, I'll give you the coordinates, I'll vacate a few rooms first." Charles was so excited when he heard that Han Yu was bringing someone, he hung up the phone and sent Han Yu a text message. The text message contained the specific location of the mutant school. This guy. Han Yu didn't know whether to laugh or cry, this guy was too eager, but after thinking about it, it's okay, this also means that Charles is very concerned about this matter, otherwise he wouldn't be so eager. After confirming the address sent by Charles, Han Yu said, "Bring a set of clothes, you can play there for a few days." Several people think it makes sense, it is not bad to go to another world and see the scenery of the other world. They hurried home and returned after 10 minutes, already carrying a small bag in their hands. "Okay, let's go." Han Yu took out a teleportation scroll with a set direction, pinched it hard, and the scroll disappeared, and a teleportation gate with a blue aura appeared in front of everyone. Han Yu walked in first, and Kyu and the others stood in front of the portal to look at it, and then walked in one after another. After walking out of the portal, a huge manor came into view. Several people stood on the main road, surrounded by many neatly trimmed square trees. At this time, Han Yu and the 2 men were standing in front of the door of the luxurious building in the manor talking, and Han Yu was also waving at them. After a few people reached the door, Han Yu said, "Come on, let me introduce you. These are Charles and Eric, the teachers here. This is the new teacher I found for you, Fubuki, Saitama, Genos, and a student, King. As soon as a few people opened their mouths, there was a language problem. While speaking Japanese, they spoke English. Only then did Hanyu remember that people from different countries can communicate with each other only in the grocery store, and the grocery store has its own language translation effect. Now they are outside the grocery store, and Hanyu is the owner of the grocery store. The effect of language translation is always there, but not for others. We don't understand the language. Fuxu was a little embarrassed. Hello, my name is Genos. Genos does not have this language barrier. He is a reformed person, and he has English as a language option in his language pool. Wait a minute, it can be resolved. For this problem of different languages, it is too easy to solve, Hanyu said in his heart. System, get me 2 translations for Kanjak, and they must be permanent. As soon as the voice fell, Hanyu raised his hand, and 3 palm-sized jellies appeared in his hand out of thin air, and he handed it to Q and the others. This thing is called translation Kanjak. After eating it, you can understand other languages directly. Is there such a thing? Fuxu picked up a translation Kanjak, flipped through it, and found that it was just an ordinary Kanjak. Eat it, you'll know if it's useful after eating it. Hanyu said with a smile. They all came to another world with him, and Q and the others were not afraid of him being poisoned, so they ate it directly. After eating, Q choked because he ate too fast, and quickly patted his chest. I'm choking, do you want some water? No, I have swallowed it. Saitama waved his hand and said. He looked up and realized that the person who was talking to him just now was actually Charles. This thing is really useful, and the effect is too fast. Q said in surprise, it's effective as soon as I eat it, it's amazing. Seeing that it really worked, King plucked up the courage to come forward and said, well, hello, you can call me King, I'm here to go to school, I don't know if I can understand. Eric nodded with a smile and said, nice to meet you, King, my name is Eric. Eric didn't feel anything wrong with King coming to school, instead he smiled and shook hands with him. They also confirmed that the translation of Kanjak was really useful. Now that the language problem was solved, the few people let go, introduced their identities to Charles and the others, and pulled them closer. Hanyu watched this scene with a smile on the side. Come on, talk while walking, it's not appropriate to stand at the door and talk. Charles waved his hand, and the 2 doors opened. This operation made Q and the others see their eyes light up. They were too pretentious and handsome. There are many rooms in the house, and Saitama and the others can choose whatever they want. End of the chapter. Like and subscribe for more videos like this.